It makes people happy.
You just hope we do more trades like we did for Castillo, where we were good giving up top prospects. Wouldn't that be, what a concept? If you're not going to spend money, let's trade some farmhands that, maybe we could reduce the, I don't know, 2/3 of our positions throughout minor leagues have log jams because we won't trade anybody.
See, the problem I think though is that I think the Mariners are willing to do that. Like they've shown the willingness to do that. They did that with Castillo. I think they do it now. They have the number 3 pick in the draft. They have 3 picks in the top 60. Like they can go and restock the farm system right now if they do that. The problem is like who is out there to get that is worth that. Okay. The White Sox don't have anybody to trade. Like they're one team that would sell. They have nobody that you would want, especially to pay that kind of freight for. The Marlins would sell. They have nobody that you would want. The one guy that they will deal is Sandy. The Mariners don't really need him. They need offense more than they need starting pitching. The Rockies have nobody. I mean, McMahon, maybe. They're not going to trade Doyle. So like, who is there that's really worth that freight? You need someone else. Like you needed the Twins to not get on this incredible hot streak and fall out of it. Baltimore,
Royce Lewis,
Baltimore, Cedric Mullins. You don't really need an outfielder right now, but like they're a team that could sell, that would be willing to trade, the Mountcastles of the world. I'd rather see Mountcastle.
But how much are you going to give up for him?
Right, you're not going to give up a lot. So like, I think they were willing to make those deals, but I don't think those deals are really out there.
No, that's a good point. And actually, hey, it's a good thing to talk about. The Mariners struggle to exist. Are they going to deal or aren't they? Welcome in, by the way. We are live actually on YouTube. I don't want to get too formal about this, but this is the Friday Night Live that usually is hosted by Up West Sports Podcast. Nolsey, one of the hosts of that podcast. Gavin should be along at some point. I believe he's on a date with his wife. I mean, that's kind of what Fridays are reserved for if you're not a weird baseball freak like me, or hopefully the three of you if you're here with me. But also we've got Chad Touching Bases podcast here again, and then Brady from the it is the Refuse to Lose podcast, right? I just want to make sure. Yes, there are like 15 podcasts, and I want to make sure I'm giving you the correct due. But the Refuse to Lose podcast, Brady Fark is with us as well. Appreciate you, man. Thank you all for joining us, and we are talking about an actual, I would say, man, not just an exciting win, but a win that gives you some faith about what this team can do. And we can kind of get into your guys' initial reactions. I kind of heard before we started the live, Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh coming through, Leody Taveras with that huge bomb as well. A big home run for him. He's actually settling in as a Mariner, it seems. But I don't know. Let's just go around the horn here. I love being on this CNN-style box. Like, hopefully we can get all the guys in from the Twitter chat. And I don't know, what is that, like 8 or 9 guys at some point? And seriously, it'll be like that Family Guy cutaway where it's just like literally almost infinite talking heads talking Mariners. But I don't know, Kyle, start with you. What are your guys' initial takeaways, and kind of go around and react to this pretty awesome Mariners win? Just sitting through it, it felt, I don't know, it felt good. It didn't feel at risk at any time for me. What do you guys think?
I mean, the Leody is kind of looking like last year's Victor Robles, which is, kind of finding that guy that maybe just wasn't, he had all talent. Maybe it was an environment. Maybe he needed to just kind of get a fresh start somewhere else. And so far he's fit perfectly with what we've needed. We've needed, a legit right fielder, with, again, Robles out, Raley out. It was kind of just a revolving door, and that kind of guy that can sit in there, that can do a job, switch hitter. And, he's producing. I mean, I'd love to see, I think he's batting like 230 right now, but I'm not sure what what he's done with the Mariners so far. It's got to be a lot better than that. But and then you've got Rivas sitting on the bench with Moore. I mean, the team just kind of looks well put together, which is hilarious thinking about the offseason that we had or didn't have. And then beyond that, just the fact that our bats are carrying the pitching while we're kind of waiting for the rest of the guys kind of to get healthy and come back. Passon had a line earlier this week that said, "This is the Mariners team that we were hoping to see." And, I think that was more mentioned to the offense, not so much the pitching. But he said this team is, probably top 2 in the AL, and they're doing it with the idea of they're going to have 2 Cy Young potential starters coming back in the foreseeable future. I mean, that's dangerous. I mean, it's like the trade deadline came early and we gave up nothing for it. So I'm pretty excited, especially when you have wins like this where, I talked about it, I think a couple post lives a few weeks ago where, what I want to see out of the Mariners is when they hit a slump, how do they react? And when they go 1-5 and they go, okay, we're done here, and they go 5-1, to me, that's the type of kind of response to kind of getting in a lull. And so, seeing that and seeing the game like today, I'm actually pretty excited about the Mariners for the first time in probably a while.
I love hearing that. Brady, what about you? Moving right on, brother. That looked like that was something that you said kind of made you basically see the team as a complete entity for the first time all year because it was your favorite win, right? Get more into that.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite win of the year. And I know I'm prisoner of the moment on this, but one, it's always good to beat the Astros. That always feels good. Right now, you have a winning record against the Astros. You're 3-2. You have more to play against them coming, but anytime you can put yourself in a position to potentially own the tiebreaker over the Astros, that is a huge thing also. So you're one up in that regard. It's great to see. Look, the Mariners got up 1-0, then they got down, then they got down again. Emerson Hancock still guts out 6 innings, throws another quality start, a guy you certainly had questions about 2 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. Emerson Hancock has now turned into a pretty solid number 5 starter for you. He ate some innings. He got it to the bullpen in the way you would want it to line up with Brash, Vargas, and Munoz in any particular order there. Julio comes through in the clutch, gets the tying hit off of Abreu. Was a guy throwing 100 miles an hour. Second time Julio's gotten Abreu this year. Cal goes and wins it. They do all of this after a pretty egregious send by Christopher Negron and trying to score Cal Raleigh from third earlier in the game there, and a move that could have cost them a chance to win. And then Munoz continues to be great, right? We're at more than 20 appearances right now. And he's got an ERA of 0. This win guaranteed them a winning road trip. At bare minimum, they're coming back 6-4 on this road trip. That, if you told us that at the beginning of 10 games, we all would have taken. They have a chance now to go 7-3 or 8-2 out of this road trip. It's already been success. It has a chance to be great or special by the time we're done. So I think all things considered, and on the heels of what happened on Thursday, favorite win of the year. Important win also.
Hell yeah. Chad, what about you? Obviously, the Mariners gaining a game on the Astros in the standings. The Rangers at this point, I think they lost to the White Sox today, so they dropped a game as well. So, yeah, thank you, Brady, for confirming that. What do you say, Chad, about tonight's win?
I said that's the reason why this makes it one of the better games that we have going on, because, I mean, it meant something. It counted towards the standings even more. I mean, the fact that we're 8 games over 500 is, I mean, I don't, you know me, I'm not the positive guy here. And I mentioned that even before we went on, like, I'm very pessimistic, but I mean, it's awesome that we are this far ahead in the season and at the top of the ranks. Of course, I'm still holding my breath because I am a fan, but we all know what happened last June. So I'm just hoping they can kind of keep it together. I just like the fact that they're finally kind of utilizing that bullpen, I think, a little bit better. Like, Hancock did really good. I don't know where he found the velocity, hitting like 97 this game constantly. He's always been kind of a mid 90s guy. Maybe I missed his last.
That's what he was in college. In college, that's what he was
last week.
Okay, yeah. And I didn't watch the last week's game that he pitched because I avoid Hancock.
Gavin made the point that in college he was a 98 guy. When it got hot, playing in Georgia, that's when when he was shoving. I think he's, as Gavin mentioned, now we're getting to the warmer months of the year. That's where you're seeing the velocity upticks. I think So keep going. But
yeah, it showed. I mean, yeah, he did give up 9 hits and everything, but from majority of everything that as far as the hits go, most of them were on the ground. He had a lot more ground ball action than what I'm used to seeing. And I mean, yeah, he only had 3 strikeouts. He's never been a strikeout pitcher by any means, but just the 1 home run from Isaac Paredes, which I feel like that was a fly out anywhere else.
It was an 060 expected batting average.
Yeah.
God.
So, I mean, it's just one of those like Crawford curses. You throw him inside, he gets ahead of the pitch, it's probably going to be a home run because if he's a fly ball hitter, I don't even want to count it against Hancock on that one. And normally I don't defend Hancock, but like that was a Paredes like special that he always does. And I'm pretty sure they mentioned it would have only been a home run in Fenway and the Crawford boxes. So we're not in Boston, and then we just happen to be in Houston. So I don't even want to count that against him. But I would have liked to see. I understand Brash. Like we want to be careful. We just got him back. You don't want to worry that Tommy John. I would have loved to see him go 2 innings instead of just 1 because Vargas always scares the shit out of me every time he gets on the mound. And the 2 hits after they got the 2 outs is like, all right, what's gonna happen here? Please don't blow this right now. But he made it out, and then Munoz coming in to close it, keeping that best ERA of any closer in baseball. I'm still wondering if the Cardinals like super fan or whatever his name is that does the radio show is now finally going to admit that Munoz may be possibly one of the best closers and not like Ryan Helsley or Mason Miller, who both have significantly more runs given up this year. Obviously we haven't given up any for Munoz, but I don't know. I mean, it's a good win. We need to beat this team more often. I feel like it's a kryptonite being in Houston for the Mariners in general, which sucks. So I'm glad they were able to pull through it. But yeah, the first half of that game, I was worried. Tavares kicked it off, but I was worried.
I think they're 11-4 in Houston since 2022. So despite what we all think and the fears we have, they've actually played
11-4.
They've actually played much better there.
But I think it's a change, kind of a swing, right? I mean, I think about like
they went 1-18 against the Astros in general a couple of years ago. 1-18 the whole season.
But like you think about a decade ago, right? Like the 2 teams that have always haunted us were the Houston Astros and the White Sox. And they weren't good at those times. I'm talking about, probably closer to 15 years ago. And just over that course of that time, there's been a slight just uptick. We kind of get a little bit closer. Then we had, like you said, we had the 1-18 season, and that was like kind of that one little dip in the radar. But we've seen a progression where we've kind of started to take over. And I think maybe that's just organizational change and talent. I think they're kind of in a lull where we're really starting to take off. And so I would sure hope to see some dominance for the next decade with our team, and then see what happens there.
Schultz, I don't know if you can hear this, but if you can, I want to play it. We're talking about Hancock's velocity. I was in Chicago for the series with the White Sox covering the team, and I talked to Hancock about his velocity. So if you can hear this, or if you can't hear this, let me know. But here's what he said about where his velocity comes from.
Yeah, I think it started in the off season, and understanding that I wanted to have a little bit of a velo jump, so you have time there to kind of experiment with some things, and you also have more time for recovery. So you're able to kind of push the intensity while also having more downtime. And you got to the season, it was just something we had talked about. It's all right, in the bullpens, instead of throwing maybe 30 pitches and you're kind of feeling it out, like let's go 10 to 20, but get on them. And I would just notice I recovered a lot quicker. I was able to throw harder more often. And it's just at the point now where it's like when I grab the ball and I'm making a really intentful rep, like I'm throwing it hard, and it's just kind of carried over.
So throwing with intent and throwing as hard as he can more often. That's where it comes from. So
I love that in-depth answer that you got that from him, man. That was awesome. And I know, Brady, you were at the White Sox series against the Mariners. Stoic M's fan, welcome on in, dude. Appreciate you checking on in. Good to meet you. Good to have everybody in. We're almost filling it up like that CNN Crazy Infinite guy's screen. I love it. Yeah, we're all a bunch of talking heads here talking to M's. But really quickly, yeah, appreciate you, man. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me in here, guys. It's great. And I just want to say too, really cool sound from Emerson there, but that sweet, soft spoken like Southern accent. Damn, those silky vocals there.
It just pisses off people in Houston. They're like, that's
it's
our
good to hear
accent.
Yeah, and it's good to hear how he's throwing that hard, and it's just coming fairly natural. He didn't have to go deep into the lab to get that out of him. But again, hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Thanks for letting me jump in here.
So I wanted to run this because I felt a little weird. So going back to August 23rd of 2024, there's only been 5 games played in Houston against them, and the record's 3-2. But we are ahead. We have 3 wins. They have we have 2 losses against Houston. But I just wanted to check that because I was like, 15 and what was you say? 15-9,
11-4 since the playoff loss in 2022. 11-4.
Yeah, it feels way different because it's weird. I don't know who does the scheduling, but we play in Seattle more than anything, and it seems like Houston loves playing in Seattle. I don't know. Maybe we should change stadiums or something.
I feel like
'Cause-
your guys' argument, it's like perfectly describing, like, as a Mariners fan, you feel like it's going worse or better than it actually is at some points. It's just hard to judge, man.
It's
So,
also a heart of hate against Houston. Like
that is fair.
I have very few teams that I dislike. I rep a lot of teams, but I hate Houston. Even
That is
people on
fair.
Twitter argue with me.
With that marine layer, the trash can reverberation might actually be a little more clearer to the hitter. Maybe that's why they want to play out here so much. I don't know.
Mhm.
Just speculation
I
here.
did want to respond to the point about Hancock really quickly. It's really nice to see. I think it was either Divish or one of the newspaper writers that kind of went in depth before the season during spring training on what Hancock had changed in the offseason. Obviously, we're hearing about that up in velocity that Brady just talked to him about, the breaking pitches that he added. And that's kind of the cool thing. As a pitcher nowadays, we all know that you don't really have to spend 2 or 3 or 4 years with a pitching coach slowly trying to add something to your arsenal. You can do it in an off season. You could add 2 pitches during an off season if you want to. And you hear him talking about that uptick in velocity, just feeling how much more comfortable it felt. I mean, that kind of makes me feel like he is a true, what we've seen from him. And then along with hearing that, he is a true major league starter. I feel like the best start of his career so far was the one we saw in Boston at Fenway Park. So nice to see during this tribulation of pitching for the Mariners that they actually have somebody that we didn't think they could lean on is actually becoming somebody to lean on. So really love that. That's something that I definitely wanted to point out. Another Mariners starter basically keeping them in the game for 6+ innings, guys. That's kind of been, I feel like, the story of their success, right? Jake's not here, but he's got the quality start metric going, or the quality start graphic going on X. Go check that out. Go follow Jake on Twitter if you have not. But it's really important, obviously, because they have not had any consistency at not just the starting position, but the bullpen in general, right, guys? Like, I don't know, get into, I don't know, maybe, what do we got? Like, 2 more, no, they said Logan Gilbert was going to be back maybe after missing just 2 starts, right? Or something like that, possibly next week after coming back, throwing earlier than he was supposed to, doing some
Gilbert will
rehab.
probably be back in June.
Okay, so we're looking, 2 weeks maybe. I feel like that kind of keeps coming up in my head, so I don't know why. But if we're
8
going to get him
days.
back soon, if we're going to look at an actual complete starting rotation going into June, do the Mariners actually have, they looked good tonight, do they have the ability to sustain the success and get even better going into the summer? What do you guys think?
I'm so worried. Kirby needs to shake off the rust. That was a rough start. I understand it's his first time back in a while, but that was a little bit worrisome. And then hopefully we're done with Casey Lawrence. I don't know if you guys like him. I cannot stand the guy. Every time I watch him pitch, we have a real bad game. So, and we keep DFAing and re-signing him, bringing him back, and I don't understand what's going on there. Maybe I'm ignorant, and you guys have more in-depth information on him specifically. But every game I show up to at the stadium, he gets thrown in there, and then I'm like, all right, game's over. And I was at the game that Logan Gilbert got injured at, and it was like, all right, well, he's given up 8 runs. Are we gonna swap him out, or are we just gonna keep on going with 8 runs against Miami? So I'm hoping that Kirby can kind of settle back into his groove, which I Bleav he will, and it would be nice to have Logan Gilbert back. But it'd be also nice to see Miller come back strong. I'm still a huge Miller fan, so seeing him kind of struggle at the beginning of the season was surprising to me, and I'm still rooting for him. But I'm going to assume he's been dealing with something for a long time, and they finally just said, all right, enough's enough, and that's why they pulled him out for a little bit. So it's like we're having the Dodger syndrome of injuries, but it would be nice to see these guys back to where they are so we can actually enjoy the rotation that everybody was talking about. Although I'm happy today with Hancock, and I've been happy with Logan Evans' efforts. So not too worried, but I am concerned.
And with those 2 guys pitching the way they are, while maybe Logan's slated to come back in June, I'm not sure if it's early June or mid-June. With the way they're throwing, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you're slated to come here, but what if we gave you another 2 weeks to kind of really ensure yourself that you're good to go? Just with the way we're playing, the way that the bats have really carried the pitching. And I think that now with our bullpen getting a little bit more solidified, Brash getting, I think, I would love to see Brash to be able to, go 1+ innings. But obviously you're not going to just do that from the get-go. And you kind of start building that out a little bit. And it's the Mariners, right? You say, do we have the ability to maybe stretch these guys out a little bit longer just to let, again, a Gilbert and a Miller really heal up before we get them back in? It's a flip of a coin, at that point. But I would love if we could say, okay, Gilbert, you're supposed to come in mid-June. How about we bring you back after the All-Star break? Now you're really fresh. Everything's healthy, and now you're just rolling. We start from there. Maybe Miller, I'm not sure when he's slated to come back. But I'm not in a position right now to feel like we need to rush these guys. And if you can give them a little bit more time just to ensure that, okay, especially talking about the elbow, right? When it's an elbow, that's a whole different game. And so, I'm just hoping that maybe they hold them back another week from what they're expected to come back.
ESPN has them coming back on the 30th, like in 7 days. ESPN says that that's when Gilbert's due back. I think he should be back in mid-June, though, because I think it solely depends on our cush. Like how much cushion do we have in first place? Right now we got a few games, but that can sneak up real quick on you. So it's like, hey, if you want to milk it, but have a plan at the very least.
Miller's slated to come back right from the 15-day injury list. That he can come back on May 27th, and that's when he's expected to come back. That's when he's eligible to come back, I should say. He threw 2 innings today, simulated game in Houston. I don't know if he would need a rehab start. I think he said he doesn't think he would need a rehab start, so he'd be able to come back fairly quickly. Gilbert threw 2 innings today. He's going to need a rehab start or 2 or 3. So I think mid-June is the target date for him. And Adam Jude of the Seattle Times had this recently. Once Miller comes back, they're probably going to go with a 6-man rotation, which would shrink the bullpen. That's the thing that worries me, but it would help buy some time for starters to recover more, especially Kirby, Miller, some of these guys. So 6-man rotation there. And then I imagine that when Gilbert comes back, they could still go with a 6-man rotation, but Evans would be the guy who gets sent down, and then maybe Hancock if they get it back to 5. But if they keep it at 6, then Hancock can stay.
I mean, I guess I'm always hearing the brightest and the best, on their recovery times as far as the pitchers getting injured from Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander, right? We're always hearing it's only going to be this short amount of time. And from the spring training quotes from Dipoto, it sounded like, Kirby was going to be back like a month ago. So I don't know. It's just always hard to see, what the tea leaves from them are actually saying. But Stoic M's fan, let's get you in on this. You can talk about Hancock or anything else that maybe you saw tonight from the Mariners win over the Houston Astros 5-3 in Houston that stuck out to you, brother.
Yeah, man. Well, I think one thing that's big, and it's not just tonight, but I think the bullpen Munoz has been there day in, day out. It's ridiculous the way he's just making people look stupid. It's just automatic. But having Brash back, I was a little concerned. These guys come back and you never know how quickly he's going to be Brash again, how quickly he's going to be lights out. And his control, he wasn't commanding it a ton today, but he got through it. He battled right through it. He's looked good the last few times out. And just that along with the emergence of legs there, the Bean Man, and how Carlos Vargas has done. I mean, those guys are throwing good stuff too. It's not just like they're getting lucky. If you look at kind of stuff models, they grade really well. They grade, up there just behind Spire. So I'm feeling really good with the bullpen at this point, which is the first time in a while I've said that. If they want to get another guy or two at the deadline, this is early talk for sure, but that would be great. But I'm not as concerned about it. I'm still worried about Ben. I know a lot of people love Ben. I love the kid. He just looks, he can make a great play, and then he'll just kind of bobble a ball, and he's got a great arm, but he's not really providing anything with the bat at all. And that would probably be just fine if Rayleigh and Robles and everyone was here. If Jorge was hitting like crazy, that'd be fine. Right now, it's a little bit scary. because when you're, getting on base at like 280 or whatever, 290, I think maybe below that. I think it was for month of May. I think I posted it today. It was like WRC plus under 60 in the month of May. So that's concerning to me a little bit. But hey, however you can get the win. The offense is doing just enough right now. They weren't as great in May, but hey, they're doing just enough, and the pitching is getting better than it had been at the start of the year. And with Miller coming back, I think we can do okay. I'm not feeling like we're gonna go 10 games up in the West, but I think we've got enough to remain over 500 going forward through June. We've actually got a pretty cupcake schedule with the Orioles and some of these, not to talk trash about a bunch of these other teams, but these other teams coming up, the Nationals, we've got a pretty easy schedule in June. So I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Hell yeah. Brady had to peace out, guys. He said he was going to stop by for just the first part of the post-game show. So yeah, Friday Night Live. Hopefully Gavin gets here. You know what? If he doesn't show up, if him and his wife just end up having a few more drinks than they planned on. Hey.
Oh, I'm going to send him hate mail and death threats if he doesn't show up tonight.
That's what a Friday night's for, right?
That's what it's for. Yeah.
Appreciate everybody hanging with us, though. I don't know where Knowlesy went. Probably went inside. Hopefully he gets his internet back or something like that.
Gavin showed
I had to refresh my beverage.
Oh, no, it's all good, brother. Actually, I got to go here, get a refill for myself pretty soon. But yeah, cheers to a Mariners win, guys. I don't know if we did that earlier. I know we cheers, but maybe not to a Mariners win. So.
I'm already done. I got a refill anyways, but
refill. I can filibuster, or Stoic M's that I can filibuster.
Oh, I know he can.
One thing
this is where a sponsor commercial needs to fall in.
Yeah, I either need my Miller High Life champagne and beers to actually hop in and pay me for this to the 3 people that are watching right now.
Elysian.
And I think one of those is me. So I apologize for not getting enough viewers out there just because my Twitter ain't that big yet up in Mariners land. I got less than 300 subscribers, so we'll get there. That's the cool thing about the Mariners.
Hey, last time I was on here, you were fighting to get to 100, so it's a pacing game. It's not like a race to a high. You're gonna grow, dude. I have no doubt.
I appreciate that, man. No, honestly, a high boat raises all tide, or a high tide raises all boats. I've had 4 of these already, so I apologize.
High boats raise a tide. I get it. It's all good. I wanted to bring up the Nationals, though. You mentioned the Nationals coming up. As I go completely out of focus, what's going on with my camera right now? Okay. So. I mean, trade deadline seems to be a hot topic at this point when it comes to every team. Like Brewers are probably selling because they're just not there yet. Orioles obviously selling because Orioles and their pitching is devastating. So they're probably going to end up selling. And then at the end of the year, they'll revamp the rotation just because they're not sure about Grayson Rodriguez, not sure about any of these other people. But as far as the Nationals go, guess who's on a 1-year contract, and guess who needs a first baseman unless we really want to stick with Rowdy?
Who? Ty France? I'm just kidding.
Nathaniel Lowe. Yeah, I think
it hurts.
Isn't Lowe this year and one more year, right? So not quite a rental. He's got one more year after this.
Yeah, he's worth a little bit more, but I mean, they also picked up Josh Bell, so they have 2.
Yeah. Well, Bell's he's one of the worst qualified hitters in the league right now, isn't he?
Yeah,
Josh Bell.
Yeah, he does hit bombs, but
they can fill a spot.
Guys,
and Lowe's the one with the value, and so they can trade Lowe and just kind of roll with Josh Bell if they want to. And I do think there's a high likelihood we know that there's been stated that there was interest in Lowe, but that the Rangers didn't want to trade him in division. I think he's a great fit. I think he's struggling right now. Might actually help lower his value. May not be a favorite move of the fan base because he's, I think, sunk under 100 WRC plus. He'll be fine. He'll be like a 115 WRC plus, in my opinion, at the end of the year. And he's just consistent. He uses the gaps. He can hit for power. I like the guy a lot. But I mean, you also mentioned Milwaukee, and we're talking first base. Rhys Hoskins is another guy. He's got an option at the end of this year. I think he's got a club option at the end of this year. Maybe it's mutual, which would be no good, but he's clobbering the ball right now. And the nice thing about him is he's a righty. And so I like what Rowdy's doing right now. I've not been sold on Rowdy starting the year, but having Rowdy come off the bench as a pinch hitter, which is the role I felt like he was most suited for coming in the year. I think he can really do that. As you need a 2-run bomb or something, and there's a righty on the mound, throw Rowdy out there and see what happens. But having Rhys Hoskins be your everyday guy and then Rowdy come in off the bench, I think that would be great. And then get yourself a third baseman.
I have an off-field caveat to Rhys Hoskins, even though I'd love him on this team. He is drama. Everybody knows he's drama. He's always been the drama guy. Whether he's with the Phillies, whether he's with the Brewers, messing with the Mets and all that stuff. This front office seems very sensitive to people with like attitudes or personalities that aren't like PC. And one of the reasons I think that we didn't touch Jazz Chisholm with a 10-foot pole when he was available and we desperately needed a second baseman was that same route. I don't think he'd be a bad selection. I think he'd be great, especially because he's hot right now. But I can imagine this front office is just like, do we want a guy that's going to start fights? There's a reason why they got rid of Jesse Winker. So that's kind of my thing. But this is Nathaniel Lowe. I haven't seen anything wrong with him besides the fact that he's a negative 0.3 WAR and yes, a 94 OPS plus. So yeah, he kind of sucks right now. But I was pulling this up because I wanted to see entirely and I was going to look this up before I put it out here, but I said, screw it. Who were the teams that he's been playing recently? Which, I mean, go to the last 5 games. You have Atlanta, you have Baltimore. And let me see if I can.
Sorry about that, guys.
Game logs.
Too. There we go.
So yeah, I want to do the game logs. This is game 1. Let's go to the more recent ones. So, I mean, he did. I know I'm moving this around a bunch. I wanted to see how he did against Baltimore because that's probably the worst rotation in baseball right now. Would we all agree?
That's a fair statement.
I mean, at this point, I can't think of a rotation that's as bad because, I mean, the fact that they have Charlie Morton on there, and I think he has like a 10 ERA, probably brings him down pretty significant. But he does seem to strike out every game and sometimes more than usual. Against Baltimore, had to strike out 6 times. So that's not good. But, it could be also the fit. It could be, the stadium he's batting in. I was curious because I do have StatHead. Maybe I can pull it up. So I'll go ahead and drop this real quick, and then I'll be able to come up with more information. But I'm curious how he bats in T-Mobile Park, and I think that's a big deal. The last time I was on this, I brought up JD Martinez, who's still a free agent. But spending money is like, don't you dare do that because spending money is like against the law or something for this team. So maybe a trade. Nats love prospects. Obviously, they will hoard them and they will bring them up and try to win off of that. It's worked for them in the past. And we have a lot of middle infielders that we are not going to be able to use. So maybe it's a good option, but I see you have Rowdy in comparison.
I just wanted to, I'm not trying to bust anybody's argument here. I just wanted to throw this up here just to kind of show, obviously, the comparison in production, to actual playing time. And Rowdy, they're both pretty comparable as far as like their actual output goes, but Rowdy's played 100 less at bats. And you mentioned kind of bringing him off like as a pinch hitter for somebody like Nathaniel Lau, Stoic M's fan, something like that. Like it at this point, I understand this is more of a short sample size. Like it just doesn't look like Lau. I don't know if he's not hitting well in Washington. Is he going to come
Lau
to
or
a place
low?
Sorry, Low. My bad. I keep
It's
thinking
Low,
of
yeah.
Lau in my head.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you get Brandon Lau. You get Nathaniel
exactly. No,
Tampa messes with me.
It does. No, that's my bad. No, Nathaniel Lowe. Excuse me. Thank you. But if you're gonna have Lowe now in T-Mobile, where hitters traditionally struggle, and he's already struggling, is he a better option than a guy like Rowdy Tellez? I mean, if he's
fat,
like,
though.
I hear that. I mean, if he's up for a middling prospect, sure. But if they're asking for like a Cole Emerson, hell no, right? Like you can't. It really depends on the asking price here. And I mean, we got out of the trade deadline last year with a lot of pieces for, I'd say, nothing. I mean, a lot of those guys I kind of forgot about in the minor leagues. So, but now I feel like the Mariners, they have the most out of the top 100 prospects out of any other team on that list. The people know that they've got some guys to grab, and they've kind of keyed on them. So I wonder if it's going to be like harder to acquire somebody, even like a Nathaniel Lowe who's not having a good season, or if they're
Like
going to maybe
Roden.
I don't know. There's guys off the scrap heap too. I mean, they could, the Rockies waited too long on Ryan McMahon, but the Mariners could think, oh, get him in the Edgar hitting lab and something works. I don't know. What do you guys think? Not specifically on McMahon, but just anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd love to see him make a run for Bo Bichette, and maybe you don't go after third base, you just fill third base with the guys you got on the team right now. Master Boney, I don't care, can play third base if you got Bo Bichette over there, and then figure something out for first base. Yeah, the thing with Lowe is he's a lefty. I mean, if you were to pull up his stat head of Rowdy last year versus Lowe, it would be night and day. I mean. Lowe, I think, was in the teens, 120, and he was the only hitter. I was surprised when Texas traded him, honestly. He was like their only hitter who kept hitting. Like from the World Series year, everybody else was slumping or hurt, and Lowe was the only one who was hitting still. And they turn around and trade him and then fill back in with Jake Berger, who I kind of like, but is extremely streaky and definitely not, as proven as Lowe and not as consistent.
They have to send him down.
I know, and then they had to end up sending him down. He's back up now, I think.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of crazy. But I do think, getting somebody a big bat would be great, and it doesn't even have to be a power bat, but like a Bichette or something, and then you can kind of go off scrap heap for another position if you can't get Lowe for a good deal. I don't think he's that valuable, to be honest. I don't remember exactly what the Nats traded to get him, but it's even with the deadline premium. Probably not much more than what they traded to get him is what you would pay to get him now. So I think Lowe is a good target. Hopefully he picks it up, but not too much to be overly expensive. And then like we said, we mentioned a few others, but it'll also be really interesting to see. Like hopefully there's no more injuries. We could have somebody else go down. We could have a starting pitcher, God forbid, have an elbow problem that isn't just sit on the shelf for a month. So there could be other things that we have to use our prospect kind of heap for to get some big names. It'd probably be easier to get a pitcher. There may be a couple extra pitchers available. But that said, there's going to be more demand for them. So who knows?
I mean, I don't know. Nosey, do you see any targets out there? And by the way, Raise the Trident, appreciate you stopping by. Lowe is obviously not worth the top anything prospect. I don't think he's worth at this point. Like you'd have to go bottom of the barrel. Like here's a project pitcher that we don't think is going to do anything. But I don't know, Nosey, like Whit Merrifield's still a free agent, but that's like the only name that would maybe even ruffle my skirt as far as like offensive production. But I don't know, man. Go for like Luis Robert.
If you're thinking Whit Merrifield at that point, you might as well get JD Martinez. Like, there's no, like, not even a question. Like,
the Mariners have a bargain bin fetish. That's why. Because I'd like Whit more. I don't know.
So the Nationals traded away Robert Garcia, who's one of the relief pitchers for the Rangers. Right now this season he has a 2.14 ERA in 25 games with one save, 18 strikeouts and a 1.0 whip. So they gave up their round 15 pick. I should say that was Kansas City's round 15 pick in 2017. So I think he's one of those guys that, like you were saying, they didn't expect to pan out because he's been in for a long time and hasn't really been up in the majors much. And that's working out for Texas, and that's what they gave up. So like I said, like a Brock Roden, unless someone's a super fan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that'd be fine. I just don't know. I guess looking for need, if the Nationals feel like they're going to try to compete in the next 2 years, they've got a lot of good pieces, but maybe like an outfielder or a pitcher is more in their kind of need column if that's what they're going to go for.
I think they're holding their breath on Dylan Cruz, James Wood, Robert Hassel III. Like they have a lot of outfielders that they're
I just don't know if Hassel III is going to do it. He's kind of struggled mightily since they got him.
Yeah.
But maybe he finally made it up here, so maybe he's going to turn it around. But I mean, you've got CJ Abrams and Luis Garcia Jr. in the middle there. So I mean, yeah, I don't know, first base, third base, I guess you could see them going corner infield. But yeah, either way, maybe it's somebody like Michael Morales's value, but I think that might be kind of the higher end.
Yeah, and that's the big thing that concerns me right here is the 40 strikeouts for Nathaniel Lowe in the 33 games he's played in T-Mobile Park. So, I mean, these are his stats as you see on the screen for him playing at home, which half the games would be here. But a 270 and is not bad. His slugging being only a 421. Yeah, his OPS is barely above average, but I don't know. Do these numbers look more appealing to you than what Rowdy's putting up? Because I'm kind of impartial. I think this would just be someone we can kind of cross our fingers with, almost like
Much more expensive
Tavares.
than Rowdy.
Yeah, he's going to cost a lot, but I mean, we're losing Garver at the end of this year, so wipe that off the books, and then you're basically replacing it with him. It is like one of those like plug your ears and see if the blast goes off or nothing happens. So, like there's not really a sure thing out there. Even if you went with like Ryan Mountcastle or something like that, like he's been kind of like he's not thrown out there every day because Ryan O'Hearn is also available to play first, and they've been leaving Kobe Mayo in AAA for 3 seasons. I mean, when are you going to actually give him an opportunity? Because you have too many guys.
They've got too many middle infielders, but hell, we could take one of their middle infielders and put him at first base for fuck's sake at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of things like in JD Martinez. I mean, I like the idea of maybe developing somebody, like getting somebody younger. I've got a big bias for Pacific Northwest athletes just because I think to play out here and be good, I think it takes a special player. Just because
I'll go play. I'll do it.
Yeah,
Sign
right?
me. I'll do it for 50,000 just to be on TV.
That's a steal.
And then I'll come on this podcast, and then Schultz will have an active player.
Hey,
gold. So
Sorry,
I think about guys like a Manzardo. You know, he's kind of that DH first base. I'd love to see him. I think he's a left-handed bat. I think he's got a great eye for the ball. I think a guy that I think could use a change of scenery, and I think is a stud would be Toglia. You know, he's a guy from Gig Harbor.
love Toglia.
Switch hitting first baseman. The guy, all he's done his entire career is. And cheers to the man out there.
Yeah, what up, Gavin? Checking on in. How was that day?
Cheers,
brother?
boys. Dude, it was great. We actually went and saw a guy that I liked. I don't watch American Idol too much, but his name is Wade Coda. Wade Coda, who's kind of he's an amazing guy. He just does Arizona stuff nowadays. So we got to see him. He did a phenomenal job, man. So yeah, I tried to stay up on top of the game as best as I could, but just got to see updates.
No, I mean, good Emerson Hancock pitching performance. Julio continues to hit. Cal hit a bomb. Tavares hit a bomb. Bullpen looked great. I mean, Munoz almost had to come in for a 4-out save, but he didn't. Like, there were a lot of almost. There were mistakes made by the Mariners. I would say coaching staff and players tonight, but thankfully they didn't come to bite you in the ass. And actually it was more aggressiveness that they had to make those decisions that led to those mistakes. I'll get to that in a second, but Knowlesy, finish up, brother. But I did have a point.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. I did have a point that I wanted to get to about the game and something to examine, but let's let Knowlesy finish up because seriously, what the hell are they going to do about first base or the trade market? I don't know.
So again, I love Rayleigh, but I just don't know what he's going to come back to, what he's going to look like. But again, I wouldn't mind seeing a guy like, you know, if you're talking about trade pieces, Toglia is not hitting all that great. He's a high strikeout guy. But I feel like that's also, I think, the environment that he's in. I mean, again, like I said, this guy has done nothing but smash
Gig Harbor
up till probably this point. Gig Harbor got high. He's a switch, but he's a switch. Yeah, he wasn't here, but he's a switch hitter. Very gifted athlete. I think he could do some really good stuff here. Manzardo, an Idaho guy, Washington State product, phenomenal eye for the ball. I think he took Skeens into the water. I mean, so the guy obviously can see some stuff. You know, I wish the Royals weren't doing well because Vinny would be a great potential look. You know, you're looking at a guy that's 27, young guy. First base right now it reminds me almost of like the offensive catcher. There's just right now there's not a ton of them, and the ones that have them literally in 3 feet of concrete. Like you're not moving them. And so, I just see there's really been a shift in offensive production. You're seeing, I would say, there's more offensive production in catchers than you're seeing in first baseman lately, just in terms of maybe average, where it used to be the opposite. But for me, I like to see maybe a younger guy that maybe just needs a change of scenery that you probably don't have to give up too much to get. And again, Pacific Northwest guys, they know how to play out here.
I'll go far the other way.
Loaded. I'm just thinking aloud.
I'll go far the other way and say let's go after and grab Paul Goldschmidt from the Yankees, who's batting over 300 and already has a 1.34 WAR. Yeah, he's going to cost you 12.5, but Yankees eat half of that. Like, who cares? Because you'll have a solid first baseman who can hit the hell out of the ball, not from Washington, but it's a rental. Like, keep our pace ahead. And why would the Yankees not possibly give that up if we have something to offer? Because they have Ben Rice. He doesn't have to play DH. I mean, the only guy that's really out right now is what, Peraza, after he broke his ankle in T-Mobile. So, I mean, they wouldn't lose much, and they'd probably be able to get a lot for him, and it might even be worth it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I like those names. We're bringing up names that like would obviously fit in well, but like that was the problem last year. Randy Rosarena, guys, remember, he was probably the best bat that was traded at the deadline. Like, nobody was really willing to move on anybody. And he was only traded because he had an ass first half of the season. And Tampa Bay just isn't competing for anything. So
could you pull off Josh Naylor?
Ooh, will the Diamondbacks
He's doing,
him? Will they see? I feel like, I don't know.
He's doing well
on this one. Everybody we come up with,
D-backs buy from
well,
us. They don't sell to us.
Yeah, and he's actually doing kind of well. I think he's batting like 290 something. His strikeouts are pretty low.
So he's doing exactly what we would think he's. But at the same time, they're like,
and he's not hitting bombs. So I picked him up in one of my fantasy leagues, thinking that he would go to Arizona and hit bombs. He's not hitting bombs, but he's doing everything else correct. He's not striking out a ton. You'd have to oversell just to get Josh Naylor. I think there's other people that you can get.
I'm just saying he's 27. That might be something you oversell on because of the production.
Well, it's like he's 27, so we have a guy that's already kind of in that range with Luke Raley. I would rather just take our chances with Luke Raley. Obviously, we don't know when he's coming back.
He wears his glasses. He needs to wear his glasses.
Yeah, he's got to wear his glasses.
He stopped wearing his glasses, and then he got injured, which was magical because it was going downhill real quick. When he wore his glasses, he was hitting bombs over my head when I was in right field. So
I just think with Arizona, how they snuck in and got to a World Series there. I know that the NL West is crazy and the NL in general is crazy, but I just don't see them selling Naylor unless they go on a big losing streak. Like, it's at this point, I mean, the name that we haven't thrown out that I think has struggled a little bit and is on a team that will sell if they're not close is Yandy. I mean, Yandy Diaz, I know we've talked about in past years. I know, again, there could be the personality problem like we talked about. You had concerns with Reese, and we know that he and Randy have had potentially a history. They played together for a year or two after that altercation they had. But that's another first baseman that
Clubhouse
could be there.
Let's go.
Seattle Swingers.
No, I think you're definitely onto something with that for sure. Because I think in the NL West, if you just get into the playoffs in the NL West, you still got a good road ahead of you. Because that's a gauntlet you got to get through just to be in the NL West. The Rockies are probably the only one, which is why I know I saw Kick Dirt's his comment on Tolia. Is his name even being talked about? No, I don't think it is actually being talked about. But with the Rockies in their situation and with Tolia in his situation, I think everybody's on the table besides maybe Dollander, Jordan Beck, and a couple of those guys that are within their first 2 or 3 years. I think the Rockies are probably the only team in the NL West that is looking to potentially do anything between now and the trade deadline.
I got a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
So how much let me start with this. This is a two-part. It leads into something, so you can insinuate what you want. But with Wilmer Flores batting like he is with the Giants, and the Giants being a game and a half back of the Dodgers, which is still neck and neck, with all of the teams except for the Rockies. Wah, wah. So do you think they're going to extend Wilmer Flores to be their first baseman or even their DH just to keep his bat in there, because he seems to be the most clutch? He's hit the most home runs, and he seems to be consistently keeping that power and changing his entire game from what it was last season, where he, I think, finished at like a 214 batting average and was just a disappointment. He's already, I think, doubled his home runs from last season this year. What do you think they're going to do?
I'm pretty sure Wilmer is one of those guys where he's like an every other year guy. He's had this thing where he'll get hot, he'll go crazy. It's just like insane. You can't stop him for a month or two.
Yep.
And especially that clutchness. But then like last year, like you said, just fell on his face.
Yeah.
Where's Andre Garver? Come on, let's get these players actually doing that.
I asked that because they're AA first baseman. Like, how much would it take to get Bryce Eldridge?
Bryce Eldridge?
There's no way.
He's deep. Yeah, there's no way they're moving him.
No, I wish.
If they move Bryce Eldridge, it would take.
Is he still two-way?
If they kept Wilmer Flores and traded Bryce Eldridge, that would be insane, and they should probably all be fired. I'll just say that. But
I'll let the Buster.
It's like trading Laz Montes when you don't have any outfielders or you don't have anybody at that position. Bryce Eldridge.
It's like trading. Yeah, it's like trading Laz because like Leote got hot for a little bit.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. Yeah, and you don't anticipate on Victor Robles ever coming back. Like there's a couple factors in there that make him more valuable to them than Laz would be to us. But Laz, as far as like power goes, they're probably on the same level. They have that, I think, 75 grade power or 70 grade power, which that's. I wouldn't be too far off to say I think he's in the market for 80 grade. There's not too many guys like Jack Haglanone and a couple of those other guys are 80 grade or close to 80 grade, in my opinion. They're not far off. They're just young. They're both 20 years old, 21 years old, and they got a huge bright future ahead of them. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it would take a lot because of the value he is to them, not necessarily because of his personal value. There's a lot that he adds just to be on the Giants.
I mean,
there's a couple. There's a couple comments in here too, talking about Kichter and Sampson both bringing up Locklear. If you guys have any thoughts on Locklear, you want to talk about him for a minute?
He's the number 10 first baseman, and as far as prospects go, but I mean, he's also been a super big strikeout issue at the major league level.
He's been a 4A guy.
Yeah, and that's a little bit too much of what we already have, which is our biggest issue right now.
So having this log jam in the minors. I mean, like I looked at like the Cardinals. They got two first basemen they're trying to play back and forth. You got Alec Burleson, who's 28, and you got Wilson Contreras, who's 33. I mean, I'm not saying I'm looking for the guy for the future, but Wilson Contreras, he's a longtime player. He'd be pretty productive.
He can keep his hand from breaking every season. Him and his brother.
But I'd take a broken hand on him than Solano batting 120.
It went up. It went up.
Okay. Hold up. I want to get you. So I'm late to the game on this one. Where are you guys at with Solano? Have we talked about him? Is he still? Have we addressed him still being on the team?
I had plans.
Okay. Fair enough.
I know you're good. I had plans.
If he's not going to get consistent at bats, which he has not deserved all season, we should send him off somewhere else.
Well, and here's my thing. I think the reason why they keep putting him in late in games, up or down, whatever the case may be. I think they're putting him in to try and create value out of him before the trade deadline and try and get that money back. Maybe they can get a couple doubles, maybe even a game tying RBI or something to that effect, to where he creates a little bit of value for himself. That way they can trade him or package him in and get the $3.5 million back. That's about it. I can't see too much else of why you would keep Solano through this through May. Like there's
he's super cheap, and like you might as well move. Like last time we talked, we might as well trade him to a team that's going to be able to use him because he can hit. I mean, he's already played in Miami, and they proved that he can hit there. So they probably wouldn't have a problem with taking him off the books and taking him back. What would we get in return? I don't know, but
Getting
Kicker
the money off
made
the
a
book.
comment
No,
about
dude,
trading
just take the
Garver.
money.
And I
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
like, if we should trade Garver because he's done after this season, get him off the books and go get Kobe Mail because his MLB career, his batting a .94. And right now, every single season, so this is what I'm saying he's worth. He's worth Garver at this point, where he started in 2021 with a 319 average. He then in 2022 batted a 247, in 2023 290, 2024 293. All right, now he's a top prospect for like a third base position. This year 209. He's hit a slump, he's hit a brick wall. The whole entire organization this year has taken a brick wall to where now they fire their manager as if he's the problem. And we can buy low, and buying low means getting rid of the guys that we don't need, like someone who can back up Adley. And I understand that they have a backup in there, but maybe somebody that would work better at the stadium's what's it called? Renovations in left field, being that he's a righty. Maybe it'll work for him. Maybe that'll just be a good change of pace. Who knows? Maybe they'll take him because they're desperate because their entire team is cold right now and Gunner's kind of figuring it out. But that's who I would target because you can buy low right now on Kobe Mayo, and you have a first and third base guy.
I mean, I would love them to get Kobe Mail, but the whole Solano being traded thing, that world only exists in the same world the Mariners are able to call the Rockies and get like Jordan Beck for like Colt Emerson or something. Like these things are all. I wish that they were going to happen, but I just don't think that we're close on any of that. And
I don't think Solano or Garver really have much value. And I mean, nobody's going to want them. If they're selling, they're not going to want them. If they're buying, they probably don't want them either. And I think the reason I think they keep running Solano out there is that they have systems in place saying you give this guy this much time, this much run. And then it's always been, AJ Pollock, Colton Wong, these guys last till June, and then they get rid of them. They DFA them. Colton Wong went for, basically nothing. I don't think, did we even get anything, or was he waived? I think he was DFA'd. Yeah, and I don't think they got much of anything. Like,
yeah,
if you can get anything, if you can get a single A player, great, do it. And if you want to give those at bats to Locklear, I don't think Locklear is at that point where you need to protect him and give him every day at bats because he hasn't proved himself. Just put him in there against a lefty you think he could hit. But even then, for Locklear, I know we kind of didn't go deep into it. His numbers look fine. He's not performing up to what his numbers suggest. He's barely at a 100 WRC plus, and he's hitting the ball directly into the ground. And he's been struggling more lately. So it may not be the best time to call him up necessarily, but
anything better than Donovan Solano. Anything at this point.
Okay,
all
so we talk about
are better than Donovan Solano at this point, I would believe.
He's a professional hitter. I think it's hard to play baseball when you're getting in a bat every other 3 games. You know what I mean? Like that's tough. So again,
there's a case to be made for that for sure, but are we going to trust that in our lineup right now?
No.
And Mooney's doing that pretty goddamn well, isn't he? Dylan Moore,
Leo Ribas, man.
When he was Leo Ribas, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of examples of guys that are even on our team. It's true.
That's fair.
You know what? Screw it. Let's just go get Kyle Schwarber because his contract ends. The Phillies are not going to extend him, and we have a DH
that, like, we talk about the Marlins.
Great point, because here's the other thing we're missing. Sorry, Kyle. Here's the other thing we're missing. We're missing that one FU guy. We talked about this in the offseason. I wanted Max Scherzer so bad because Max Scherzer is that FU guy. He's that guy, even if he's our 5th starter and he doesn't throw a whole lot of innings, he's that guy in the clubhouse that kind of rallies the troops, gets the guys together. He's that old school mentality. And Schwarber is 100% that. Now, Schwarber does do things a little bit differently. Offensively, he brings some production to the table.
He's got power. He's going to lead the league in home runs, but his batting average is going to be Cal Raleigh last year, like a 215. But right now, he comes in clutch, and look at how the Phillies are right now. They're steaming ahead. Nobody's talking about him, and his contract ends. They might not need him because they do have a lot of guys that can fill the DH role only. So
if there's one thing he can do when the lights turn on, he shows out. When the lights turn on, man, he is there, and I trust that. I trust that a lot more than I trust a lot of other things.
He could be our
because baseball is
2025 JT. We wouldn't bring him back because it's the Mariners, and we would want to because we won a World Series, right? Because that's the positivity I'm going to give for tonight.
Yeah.
Give
us the ring.
Let's do it. I love it. Cheers to the positivity. Hey, good time to reset, by the way, guys. We're an hour into the stream. We got Nolsey, we got Gavin, we got Chad, and we also got Stoic M's fan. Gavin and Nolsey usually run this Friday Night Live on the up northwest. I am 5 beers in. This is my 6th one. I am literally like, I'm stumbling tonight. Up West Sports, the Mariners podcast here on YouTube and Twitter, but appreciate you guys letting me host this tonight. We are running a giveaway, by the way. If people want to subscribe at 100 subs here on YouTube, we got an Andre.
Come on now. Subscribe. If you're listening and you're not subscribed, come on. What are you doing? Come on. Get in there, just subscribe. It's free to do it. And you're in a chance. I will say, if you're going to subscribe and you want to be entered in that, reach out. Comment, do something, make yourself known that you subscribe, because we want to give this thing away. That's a heck of a thing.
And if you win it, let me know. Send it back to me. I'll have you on my pod.
Oh yeah,
because I want it, but I shouldn't. I can't win that. That's kind of against the rules. It feels like it's insider trading, but I want that card.
If you want it, people would get suspicious, and then I don't know.
I know.
It's like I'm not big enough to like have like that quiz show scandal of the 50s happen or anything. No congressional hearings being called about me. But anyways, guys, really quickly to get into something that I wanted to talk about from the Mariners 5-3 win over the Astros, specifically, of course. Series tied at a game apiece. They got 2 more over the weekend. We'll see if they can get their would be 8th series win on the road in a row. I believe that's with their 7th against the White Sox, I think is what Aaron Goldsmith said. So going for their 8th road series win in a row this season, but almost didn't happen because of one moment, and that was, I believe, top 5 when Cal Raleigh ran to home plate, rounding third because Christopher Negron waved him by, basically testing the left field arm of Jose Altuve, one of the worst, not one of the worst statistical defender in baseball, has the worst arm. They essentially moved him out to left field to try to hide that crappy defense. Because, he's getting older. That just happens. But he managed to throw Cal Raleigh out by a freaking mile. Mariners were down at the time trying to tie the game. Did you guys like that decision? Did you guys hate that decision? To me, I don't mind the risk. I'm all for the 4th and 2 mentality where you never punt. I like balls to the walls coaching. But what did you guys think of that play? Seemed like Mariners fans were kind of mixed on Twitter. And I was just like, I don't give a fuck. Go for it. Let's go. It's the Astros. Test his arm.
I mean, it sounds like a good play. If statistically speaking, like in terms of Altuve, he probably makes that throw 1 out of 10 times. Take the risk. If he's that bad, and we've seen it with arm strength, whatever, you take that risk. I mean, especially because it's earlier in the game. Now, does it suck? Sure. I mean, it is what it is, but I'd rather see that happen. But it also, I think it keeps them honest too, because, I mean, now
it wasn't close.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, it was
not
with
their left field. With their left field,
that was deep short. That wasn't even
at
left
the same
field.
time, do they think Altuve's thinking, he's definitely going, or is he maybe thinking he's going to look up and go, oh crap, he's going, and then he's kind of double pumping?
Like I don't know if we can see it there, but Cal definitely pauses to make sure that it drops, and that's probably a smart play. There's a little stutter step there.
But
if he's like
he had the ball
going all out immediately, I could see Negron sending him. But he did not get a great jump. He's making sure it's the Crawford boxes make that left field short. He's playing, he's not playing super deep. Like, I think it's a bad send. It's not completely egregious. If you had a faster runner, I'd say maybe test it. Cal's not like the slowest guy.
And here's the other thing with Negron. Negron's new at this.
Yeah,
he's still learning himself at third base. He was an excellent first base coach, which I know it's like hard to how do I put this? It's hard to assess how good somebody is as a first base coach because, like, what are they actually doing? Well, he's actually getting good reads. He's getting good reads, and he's helping out his runners to get those good advances and jumps, and saying, hey, here in this situation, he's setting his guys up. So here's his first chance to actually coach third base and send guys and actually get that reign. Now, from the third base coaches I've known, which there's a really good one down at Chipotle College. I know it sounds like Chipotle, and I've gotten shit for that before. Exactly, yeah.
That's fantastic.
So Chipotle is one of the best junior colleges in the nation. And the third base coach there is a good friend of mine, Anthony Marks. He played left field and center field for Coastal Carolina when they won the national championship back in 2016. He was an excellent base runner. And he's able to tell me like these insights on what makes a good first base coach, what makes a good third base coach, things he's looking for, all that good stuff. And he's able to give some really good insights on this stuff. Yeah, you're going to make some fucking mistakes. That's how it goes. The Grown's new at this. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to here's surprise. He's going to make more. He's gonna send guys when he's not supposed to the rest of this year. And there's probably going to be, I don't know, 2 or 3 more outs at home when there shouldn't have been. Yeah, you can't rake the guys over the coal. You can't rake the guys over the coal for it. It's just it's.
And I can guarantee they had meetings saying, hey, if Altuve's in left and you get a chance to test him right now. Those meetings happened, I'm sure, before the series started. They all knew it, and he made a bad call. But like you said, he's going to make mistakes. Manny Acta, how long had he coached third base, and how many mistakes did he make? I totally agree with you there. I do think it was a bad send, but yeah. I'm not like all over Negron. You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Yeah.
It sucks when it happens, and hopefully he learns from it.
Yeah,
exactly. Like
learn from it.
Sacrificial lamb, though. Could have been the sacrificial lamb to be like, hey, let's get an idea of what he's doing. Like, we'll sacrifice the out just to see how he's going to play it, and go, okay, we know his range is from there. I mean, it was a 2-hopper. It wasn't
here's another
throw.
Yeah. Here's another question. Was that his first time coaching third at what is it Minute Maid Park still, or is it?
I think it's Minute Maid. Certainly not Enron Field.
Yeah, is that his first time coaching third base there? Even with Altuve, I don't care who's in left field. Is that his first time coaching there? Because that could,
you should still have the same mindset. You should be treating Daikin Field as if it's Fenway. Like,
sure.
I mean,
guys are gonna make mistakes though. Like that's part of it.
At least it's not Manny Acta, I guess, because he did the same thing multiple times.
They had the game plan, and it was whatever ball goes to Altuve, because you guys, as you mentioned, watching it, it was pretty shallow. It was not a deep ball. So it was just like, if it's in Altuve's direction, run. We're going to test him. So I didn't mind that. Like, and then I think the other decision that I was thinking of was Leody Taveras getting thrown out or picked off, at first base. Like, they were trying to get an insurance run in the 8th inning. I don't mind. Like, yeah, get off the base another step, man. Like, they only have 2 pickoff throws. Like, it's not going to happen very often. So, yeah, this game, I think, representative of not only a complete Mariners win, but even their mistakes or even the things that went wrong for them. It was just because they were being an aggressive team. And like Raise the Trident said, I mean, it really was just one of the better wins of the season. Huge win. Said it so many times, but it's true. Last year's team does not win this game. And I agree with you. And it just looks like this team, it's because of a much more aggressive mindset than chaos ball, which, God, I love. Cheers to that, guys.
I just feel like the slide at home you saw and at home plate from Cal Raleigh was like, as soon as he saw the catcher grab the ball and he just kind of slid to the outside, he's just like, God damn it. All right, I'm gonna have to come back later and fix this now. I'm gonna have to make up for that send. And he did. So I mean, there you go. You get a sign of a leader. It's just like, have some respect for our big old dumper back there. But yeah. I mean, thank God for his home run at the end. So, would he have done this last year? Maybe, but would we at least had a guy on second? Probably not, just because we are notorious for leaving runners on base. But
yeah, that's the other part of this. That's the other part of this. We leave guys on base.
You know what?
Now this year, I will say this year they've been way more effective at that in years than in years past. But you're right. Like, the odds of him staying at third and him versus him actually coming home. Yeah, he probably would stay at third. We wouldn't have scored the run anyways. That's just, I mean, the odds are we're not scoring Cal from third. It's how it goes.
It's almost like a little league thing. Like, we have like a coach's softball team, and like Like when we have when we have a runner on third base, I'm third base coach. It's like if that ball gets passed, you better run home because you know she can't hit. So if she's gonna strike out, it's 2 outs. It's the bottom of the 7th, which for Little League, that's the end of the game, and you're tied. Like you better get home. And it's just one of those situations where it's like, all right, well, it's the Astros. We have to beat them. Let's do anything necessary. And that's my defense for, third base coach, at least at that point. But I don't blame him. I mean, I guess I don't blame him, and it sucks. But I mean, I'm glad we have Cal, who's just like, screw it, give me another at bat, and I'll take care of this for you.
Let's get into Cal, guys. 17 home runs, tied for the league along with Ohtani, Judge, and one. We just mentioned it a few minutes ago. Kyle freaking Schwarber. Well, Schwarber gets to 500 home runs. That's a whole nother discussion. But like he's 32, I think it's a legitimate question to ask at this point. But Cal, through 50 games played for him at this point, 17 homers would put him on a pace, if I can add really quickly, and then subtract and do some multiplication, right around 51, 52 homers. He's never played more than 152 games a year. So I'm looking at that number in my head. I won't do 162. So basically 3 times as many games now would put him at 51 home runs. Do you guys think that that's a possibility? I know that he's never gotten to that milestone in his career, but we've never seen him hitting like we have to this point in his career. I don't think he's ever going to get past like an Aaron Judge. And if Judge continues to hit at this rate, because he actually had less home runs at one point during this season than he did during his, I believe it was his milestone 60-plus home run season. So he is actually on pace to eclipse that if he can continue to hit. But Cal Raleigh, I mean, is 50 even in the realm? Am I being crazy? What do you guys think?
I'll start that with what are his limitations? Because I think we can all agree on his limitations as a catcher. He doesn't play enough games to get him to that point. I know he might be on pace, but he hit 50 in 130 games. Man, he should be breaking the record, and we should have him in every game. But I don't think 50 is a attainable goal for a catcher, that you're only going to play 130. Now, if you DH him every off day and you're getting him to 150 plus games, okay, yeah, absolutely. Like he has that power, 100%. He has that power. But yeah, until that time happens, which hopefully with we'll mention the name Harry Ford when he's nipping at the heels, and hopefully he gets his call up at some point this year, and we get him maybe full time next year. And you have him to spell, and you can actually go half and half with your catchers, or half and half with Harry Ford and Cal Raleigh, and Cal Raleigh can give you more DH games. Yeah, I think you can get to that.
Let me ask you this though, like how much of it do you think of our starting rotation and their dominance and their success has to do with having Cal behind the plate?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that
95%.
Cal probably has a lot to do with that.
And how much of that time behind the plate do you want him not back there?
Well,
with Harry Ford nipping at the heels, as you said.
We had a really good conversation about this with Ty, who he's taking a leave of absence right now. I talked to him about this, about how about you call up Harry Ford to just DH. You already have Mitch Garver. You already have your backup catcher. You don't need another backup catcher. But if you end up DFAing Solano, you bring up Harry Ford to just DH and just catch bullpens to get that chemistry, however long it takes, a month and a half, whatever that time frame may be, right? And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if he's able to get that chemistry, and you can build off of that, and you can actually have that for next year.
Has he DH'd?
Has he?
Harry Ford? Yeah, he DHs a lot.
Yeah, he.
How about play first?
And what are his numbers like as far as DHing?
I haven't seen his splits.
It's definitely. Splits. I'm not 100% sure on, but also it's a conversation you have. Hey,
well,
man,
I mean, I look at the Devers effect, or even when he DHs over in Boston, numbers are real bad. But when he's on the field, numbers are really good.
I'll say this much:
that can affect people.
100%. It could definitely affect. I think with the Devers situation, where there was no communication, where there was, hey, you are doing this, We don't care about what your thoughts are. Versus, hey man, you're developing. We need you to learn our pitching staff, and you actually have that communication with him. I think that sets the tone and says, hey, we're doing this a little bit differently. We want you to understand our pitching staff. We want you to build a connection, build a relationship, understand what they're doing. Because Cal Raleigh did that. He came up with Logan Gilbert. He understood George Kirby. He understood these other guys. He had that chemistry coming into this. Versus, hey, you're new guy on the block. You got to learn this stuff. That's where I think if you have that communication piece, communication's the key on this one. Because Devers, that's the huge thing. With Devers, they were like, "No, you're a DH. You're playing first base." Like, what do you?
That's a GM and ownership conflict right there. Not exactly in the clubhouse. In the clubhouse, there's no issues, and everybody's kind of openly said that, including Alex Cora. But even last year, which was before all this drama that took place this year, whenever he did DH, which was occasionally because they wanted to give reps to a certain guy at third base, or they wanted to give him kind of like a leisure day, his numbers were real bad. And that's not saying like there wasn't maybe some ego conflict going on in his own brain, because obviously at this point I think we can all agree that Devers feels very entitled to and demands respect for the level that he's reached and what he does and how he performs, and he's gotten hot. So maybe some would say he deserves it, maybe some would say he doesn't, but ultimately it's like they pay your paycheck, you tell them where, like they tell you where you're going to play, and they wanted him to possibly play first, and he's like, I don't play first. So that became this big issue, and now it's being pushed back and forth. Like he thinks it's a disrespect level, and that's more of a cultural thing rather than just a plain business baseball thing. Where I look at Harry Ford, I don't think that's going to be an issue. He's coming up to play ball, and there's not going to be any of that conflict. But if he's not used to being just sitting on the bench, waiting to bat, and he only gets 3 at-bats every game, it could be you can get in your head. So that's why
your issue is, what do you do with Jorge now? If you got him DHing, you're penciling him at DH, you're gonna put Jorge in the field.
At this point, just put him back at second base. Like we're not losing anything by putting him back at second base. At this point, put Jorge in. If he continues on the streak he's on, sure, put in Masterboni, put in Leo Rivas, put in somebody that's contributing. At the DH spot, I think you have a lot to gain with Harry Ford, being up at this level and learning the game at this level and learning his pitching staff. I think that's the big thing, is learning his pitching staff at this level.
I need to throw quickly in some Polanco stats. Last 15 games, a 137 average, a 216 slugging, a 1 home run, 4 RBIs. Last 7 games, an 091 with just 1 RBI. And
now he's been tanking.
With this, I think we all knew something was
Baseball's
coming.
Tough.
He put Barry Bonds stats. He put up Barry Bonds freaking stats in the first month. We all knew something was going to happen. Now we got to stick through him through the dark days, right? Like these are the dark days with Jorge Polanco. We got to push through it. Now, if that means him being on the bench, it means him being on the bench. But get through the slump. Everybody stay calm. Like Jorge Polanco has picked us up so many times in that first month.
Let's just hope he's not this season's Mitch Haniger, though, who opened the first month and a half of the season on fire.
Dude, even if we only got 1 month of that, Mitch Haniger never gave us that. He gave us 1 walk-off home run against the Braves.
Let me ask you
awesome, by the way.
How do you guys feel about a player? I'll just throw this out there. Okay, so in 116 games, how do you feel about a player out of 116 games has 115 strikeouts? How do you feel?
Tell me what they slugged.
Yeah. What's the rest of the stats?
Because
115 over 116. Yeah, sure. I don't want.
How do you feel that? Do you feel
that's like at the mid to top? You're probably looking, if you're getting 4 plate appearances, you're 25% K rate, so slightly above average. But if they hit, if they hit for power, they produce. That's totally fine. Now, if they're at like
they hit
130 Ks, then it's starting to be like, you better be hitting 40 home runs if you're going to strike out 30% or more.
And how about in 34 games, they're striking out 29 times for this season? You're all right with that? All right. Yeah. And then they've only hit 4 home runs, and then they hit 7 home runs the previous season with 116 games.
So you're talking about Harry Ford? I
didn't say that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, How do you guys feel about that? Like, strikeouts have been the epitome of this organization, and every single time we get rid of them, they stop striking out.
I mean, yeah, they've also been walking a lot this year, so I guess that's kind of saved them. But that's
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, for someone who doesn't have a extreme amount of pop and is striking out that level. Granted, yes, it is Harry Ford, since you want to be a smartass down there. I'm just saying, like,
Heyo.
it seems like, and when it comes to Harry Ford, it seems like it's getting easier for him. So in single A, he batted 274. In high A, he batted 257, so it dropped down. And then double A, he batted 249. He's like, you know what? I'm going to change something up. And this year he's batting 298. Of course, it's only 34 games in there, and he has an OPS of 880. But again, out of 34 games, 29 strikeouts. At this point, he's striking out at least one time per game. And I don't know how many at-bats he's getting, whether I'm assuming 3 at minimum. But it's like, all right, there's not a ton of power. He is making contact. He is getting on base. But is that what you want for your DH? Or do you want that Kyle Schwarber?
The thing is he's such a high floor that he gets on base. And if you look and you're looking at his minor league numbers, his lowest on base, I think, was 370 something at Double-A Arkansas, which is one of the toughest home parks in all of baseball, minor league, major league. He hits over 400 on base percentage everywhere he goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not traditional DH. He's not going to hit 25 to 35 homers.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a 12 to 17 home run guy, is my opinion right now with where he's at. He can pop it. He can put some power in it.
Mariners
but
don't
it's not
need
his
that.
main game.
Sorry, I'm not mad at you, Stoic. It's just the Mariners don't need a 12 to 17 DH home run guy. Like, they need that DH slot to be filled with an actual pro hitter. Since Nelson Cruz, it's just been a rotating cast of characters. Like,
but they've got a ton of guys that hit home runs right now.
Exactly.
So if you can get guys on base, if you can get guys on base and mix that with the power hitters,
he's got a
that's what
430
they've
OBP.
been doing, and I think that's what he can continue to provide.
His OBP.
I'm sorry, he gets on base.
Like, right, his 430 OBP. Now, granted, I don't. Your DH is another hitter. I get it. You do want the power, and hopefully we can get a Kyle Schwarber. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that they're willing to give up Kyle Schwarber. I would love him. I would give up a lot to get him, but I don't think they're getting rid of their heart and soul of the team. I just don't think that that's going to happen.
I think
what you have is a 430 OBP guy.
Why do you need him at DH? We've all talked about how Harry Ford could be anywhere else. Yeah, he's basically a super utility guy, but he's
right.
You want the catcher title because that boosts his value. Because good luck finding a guy that can hit that's also a catcher right now. Like, that doesn't exist. There's like 4 of them.
The other part of that, yes, you can put him at second base. You can add value to other parts of the field. But he's a really good catcher. He's throwing guys out left and right. Like, he's super athletic behind the plate. Like, you don't find that too often.
Mm-hmm.
And he's hitting well. He's doing well in AAA as a hitter, and you don't see that too much from your hitting prospects that are catchers. That's what the correlation for me for catcher is. You don't see that a whole lot. Now, can you put him at second base? Can you put him in the outfield? Yeah, he's athletic as shit. He's going to be fine wherever you put him. And you're probably going to get really good value out of him. What I'd like to see is him work with our pitching staff and him gain that and just get MLB experience, because he's there. He's ready to go. He's not he's not a Jake Shiner, or he's not one of these guys like Tyler Locklear that we're trying to say, hey, what do we think is going to happen? No, we know what we're going to get with this guy. He might strike out a little bit. He might swing and whiff. But man, the guy's got a good OBP. He's done it at every level. Yeah, it's time. It's time to go. Let's see what we got. And I like to see him do that at the major league level when it's time.
Who would you option for him? Because I see Kick Dirt mention Masterboni, even though he's hotter than he's been.
Man,
last 7 games, he's slugging 462.
He's actually heated back up. Yeah.
I mean, we go right back. We go right back
to Solano.
Solano, baby. We go
right
back.
Why is you guys hate on him so much, man?
He's batting above fucking 20. He's a backup first baseman.
Solano's a guy that is a professional hitter. He's a professional hitter that needs. He needs consistent.
That's why I came, boys. That's why I came. Hey, cheers. Sorry, I fucking love you guys. This is awesome.
Cheers.
He's batting 150.
I think Solano needs consistent at bats, and he's just not going to get that here. So with that being said, like I'd rather him have success somewhere else where he can maybe get an opportunity.
I will bet you a 6 of your favorite beer, a 12, something valuable that if Solano gets DFA'd and he goes somewhere, that he will hit just as fucking terribly because he's old and he's washed. I don't care what his usage is. I will bet you money.
I think if he goes to Colorado, he fucking kills it. He shoves it up our ass.
If he goes to Colorado, he will hit more home runs than Cal Raleigh.
You want to go over? You want to go over under on 140? Like I'll take that bet every day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, except we need to up the reward.
It's batting average, isn't it? It's like 140.
I'll go 150 with you. I'll go over under 150.
Okay, I want that Munoz card.
I want the over. I'll take the over.
I will take the
over. We're at 94 subscribers. Let's get to 100.
If I'm wrong, I will send you a 6 of your favorite fucking.
Let's do a jersey bet. Let's do a jersey bet on this.
That's even better. Okay. So,
but to your point on Harry Ford. I think at this point, I think people look at baseball like, oh, first baseman's got to be a power hitter. Mariners, you're playing 81 games at Safeco Field. I'm going to call it Safeco Field to the day I die.
Fuck yeah.
Where it's going to be a struggle to hit bombs. You need to have a guy like Nelson Cruz, who is you don't see many of him just walking around the street. So if we're not going to find that guy, I want a guy on base, which is what is going to help the Mariners out more than anything. While Tellez has done a good job, he's kind of that, once in a while he does his thing. That's why he's batting 2-something.
He's Mike Ford. Yeah.
How nice would it be if you got Harry Ford sitting in the 8, 7, 8, 9 hole with a 430 on base that can turn the lineup over for JP, Julio, and company? Like, to me, that's the goal. I want to be able to turn the lineup over with minimal outs, with guys on base. And so regardless if he plays first base, third base, center field, or left out, I think we kind of got to get away from the norm of just, this position's done this historically. Why I like Ben Williamson is a guy, maybe he's not the best hitter right now. He's figuring his stuff out. The guy's an elite glove. In my opinion, an elite glove. You look at back, and Gavin and I talked about this in our last episode, of guys like a David Epstein, where he was not a good hitter, or he wasn't a great hitter, but the guy had an absolute glove.
He was an okay hitter.
Yeah.
He was an okay hitter.
Better than Brendan Ryan.
Brendan Ryan.
Go into Epstein's Island.
Ooh. But like Altuve's on the flip side. Terrible glove, but you'll hide his glove because he's such an elite hitter. So I just think we look at where we're at. We have a really good fielding team. We have holes hitting.
I think the other thing too, in talking about traditional hitting power positions, things like that, I'll tell you two that are not: catcher and center field. And guess what? We've got a power hitting catcher and a power hitting center fielder, probably the best offensive in those players in those positions in the league. So if you get a guy at first base who hits 15 bombs but is on base, I'm not going to say he's going to on base 400 in the pros, but if he can be a 360 on base in a rookie season, that's a pretty stretch goal. That would be amazing. But to your point, you don't have to have a power guy in that DH spot. And there's really not that many dudes, like you said, at first base. It's like that list falls off pretty fast. Third base is a below average position in terms of the average MLB WRC plus at third base. The last I looked at it like a week ago was 94, and it was in that 94, 96 range for all of 2024. So a lot of these positions have been changing. Catchers are hitting a little better, but our catcher and center fielder hit great. So if you can get, somebody who can do a little something different, I don't know, Dylan Moore playing first base against lefties, sure, why not? Bring up Cole Young, put Dylan Moore. I don't care, but you can be creative because you have a catcher and a center fielder who can match.
Do you think we can
to that point? I wanted to say to that point, I wanted to quote Moneyball really quick. Recreate it in the aggregate. As long as the lineup produces it, that's what matters.
If you're thinking of trade pieces, think about the Marlins. You want to get rid of Solano, send him out there. Connor Norby.
I just don't know why they would get rid of him when they want to get. No, I don't know why Miami would get rid of Norby.
Because it's the Marlins. Why would they want anybody?
Well, they have so much control of him. I was more thinking like the Orioles with like Ryan O'Hearn because he has the
Yeah.
6th best OBP in baseball right now.
I like
And just
O'Hearn.
stay-
I think
And just
O'Hearn
his
is
salary.
definitely gone. He's a rental.
Was he eight?
You know,
Is he $8.5 million salary? Gavin, we looked at this guy in the off season.
Talk about Norby or sorry,
O'Hearn.
I was just
O'Hearn.
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 Yeah, O'Hearn is definitely one of those guys. I think if we're talking about first base and value trading, all that good stuff, I think Reese Hoskins kind of moves the needle for me on that part. I wanted
O'Hearn.
him. I like O'Hearn. I would
Because
if
O'Hearn
we
has
got
better
O'Hearn-
numbers than Hoskins right now.
True.
I don't think so. Hoskins is like over 140 WRC plus.
Oh, that's
Well,
true.
okay. Well, O'Hearn is batting .317 with a .403 OBP and .511 slugging. While Hoskins is at .299, .401, and .490 slug.
So okay, so now we break down the trade. Who we trading away? What we getting? Money, dollars, all that stuff makes sense. Because unfortunately, as a Mariners fan, you have to mention the dollars.
Well, Orioles are going to
hate-
need
I hate-
outfield. Cedric's
Yep.
done at the end of the season.
Well,
Yeah,
they're
Cedric's
going to
free
need. They're going to get. Look at their record. They're going to need everything. They need.
Well,
they need
also-
pitching. Like Michael Morales makes sense in this trade conversation. A
Would
lot
Logan
of things.
Evans make sense?
Logan
Because now he's
Evans
proved himself at the major
The
league
only
level.
thing I don't like about trading away Logan Evans is your starting pitching depth is already shit. It's a
I
tough
don't-
conver-
only option. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't see
It's-
getting rid of Logan Evans for a rental unless that rental is, I don't even know who a rental would be who would be worth a controllable pitcher who
Yeah.
has big league
That's-
stuff,
It's a good-
Evans
that's-
is more
that's a good
important
point.
to your organization than a Colt Emerson, than possibly even like a Harry Ford at this point, just because of that position that he fills. Like he's there in case,
The depth. Now,
break in case of emergency. So
I will say
He's-
this.
Yeah,
After
never mind.
after the draft, if you go and get Jamie Arnold at number 3, now you're talking about somebody that you can maybe move, but it's probably not going to be Logan Evans. It's not going to be somebody who's touched the MLB. It's going to be somebody like a Brandon Garcia who somebody can look to move back to a starting role. It's going to be something like that. And we could talk about the draft. I have so many prospects that I like at number 3. If we ever want to get into that, I got you on that one. But
Oh, yeah.
if we take a Jamie Arnold, if we take a Cade Anderson, if we take a Liam Doyle, and I mentioned those 3 guys, and they're all lefties because we don't have anybody. We have 0 like lefties besides Brandon Garcia, who we moved to the Ben. Not a big fan of that move in my opinion, but also it is what it is. So with that being said, yes, Logan Evans isn't quite that guy. I think they would go somebody who hasn't touched the MLB. Somebody, if they're going to go with controllable, it'd be somebody who hasn't touched the MLB.
What would you give up Logan Evans for Jake Cronenworth, who plays first and second, and he has multiple years of control on top of that, which
Definitely a
can fill
better
the void
case.
for a long time, and
Definitely
and
a better
San
case.
Diego is going to need pitching because Cease is going to be done. Darvish is coming back, but how much longer
Yeah.
is he going to last? You
that
still,
boy, you have to sign Casey Lawrence to a full-time contract. You can't keep
Jesus
DFAing
Christ.
him.
You're doing that to piss me off.
I'm just saying, brother, because that's the option they're gonna have to fucking lean on if they did something. I'm not trying to piss you off. I'm trying to say, like,
Hancock
if
is
you open
fine.
door A, here's what's behind it.
There's no reason. Okay, I'm talking. Okay, for this season, absolutely. I guess you could open the door for him. I guess if you want to go down that, I still think there's other AAA guys I would trust over Casey Lawrence right now that are in our rotation.
Sucks.
But I'm just saying.
Hey, first on the
like,
scene, by the way. Nosy was first on the scene. He's coming back to Tacoma, and he got outrighted. If you don't mind, Kyle, can you share your just like little tidbit story?
Sure. I was at my local card shop, Big Nate's Trading Cards, yesterday evening, and I'm doing some deals, and there was a gentleman in the corner that was looking for some stuff and picked up a box of cards. I think he picked up like a Caitlin Clark rookie and a Laz Montez autograph, and heads out the door, and didn't think anything of it. Nice guy, said hello. He ended up messaging Big Nate, who I was working with, and he's like, "Holy shit, that was Casey Lawrence." And because Casey Lawrence had messaged him and said, "Hey, I pulled this really cool card," and he's like, "I thought he looked familiar," and so we were talking back and forth, like, well, because he was still on the, he showed up on the roster, then he wasn't on the roster. Yeah, guy was hanging out in Gig Harbor, Washington, just going to the card shop, picking up some stuff, ripping some packs.
Well, he's gonna
First
open.
on the
He's gonna
scene
start a
because
YouTube channel so that
this
he
was-
can rip cards because he's DFA'd.
Well, to your point, he was DFA'd. So guess where he's now? He's now at. He's in Tacoma because he was in Gig Harbor. I thought that was funny.
That is really funny.
You know,
Oh,
for a
man.
37-year-old
Baseball-
still living the dream, you got to give the guy props. You know what I mean?
Oh,
How
that's
much
really
baseball
cool.
mentioned about Hancock getting traded at the? I want to get your guys' opinion. This is a good topic.
How
Does
much would we get
Hancock
for
get traded?
Cronenworth? Do we like
Yeah,
Cronenworth?
Emerson Hancock
Yes,
is pretty valuable as well.
I like Cronenworth.
Do you
To your
guys have
point, I
anything
like-
against Cronenworth?
No,
think
no,
that the
they need
Padres-
I was gonna look up his age. Like I wanted to see how
Well,
old he
he's
was.
31.
He's 31.
I think the Padres don't have anything against Cronenworth. I don't think that they're going to move him unless they like all of a sudden are.
Yep.
Oh,
Hey,
broke.
it did what happened to me.
Okay.
It cut out.
Sorry, Stoic, you cut out really quick, but I think we got the gist of what you're saying, that they're just not really thinking about that at all. at
They
this
have
point.
so many middle infielders and availability. I mean, I guess unless you're talking Luis Ariz, I'm not sure when
I was
his.
just saying, could you
contract
get him for
ends.
Hancock?
But I
Uh,
think there's too many people that hate the slap hitting Ariz, even though I think he's a little bit more effective than Cronenworth as far as on base percentage and getting a good average. But at the same time, is Ariz just going to Solano us?
You know, see, I watched a YouTube video that I
Mhm.
wish I could remember the creator. It was posted a week or two ago, and it was a really great video on Jacob Wilson and Luis Ariz, but more so Jacob Wilson, and just talking about kind of their slapstick hitting style and really, not walking, but just putting the bat on the ball and kind of leaving it up to fate. But that's kind of the problem. That's kind of the caveat, if you want to say that, of their swing styles and how they hit. They're not, hitting home runs over everybody. If it goes over the wall, there's no out. They're essentially leaving it to fate, and Jacob Wilson's having success right now. But long term, those guys don't necessarily actually succeed in MLB. So just an interesting thing that I saw, wondering if like Ariz is actually somebody worth going after because of that.
What about Solano? I mean, Gavin Sheets is tearing it up there right now for San Diego. We have Solano, who just left there a year ago, who was batting, 280? So, like, you have familiarity, cheap deal, like, obviously.
But San Diego's going to add. San Diego's going to add. They're going to get, and they're not going to add a Solano, in my opinion. They're going to add something big, probably arms because they've got injuries.
Okay, so what arm can we give up to maybe get a Gavin Sheets?
Do you want to?
I just don't know that they're going to do the buy and sell
8500?
hybrid.
I mean,
I know he's good in San Diego right now, and he's kind of like an in and out player. But like, do you really want him in Seattle?
841 OPS. I mean,
I've actually liked him. I think in Chicago he underperformed what his kind of hit data was for a long time in Chicago.
That's the same with Robert Jr. I mean, I think it's the organization.
Exactly that org. I don't trust, them getting as much as they can out of everybody.
And speaking of which, guys, I don't think we've really remembered that Victor Robles is probably back. What, around the All-Star break or slightly after, maybe, with that dislocated shoulder?
So the last news I saw was August or September. Is it before then?
Oh,
Has
my
there
bad.
been
No,
an
you know
update?
what? If that's the news, then yeah, I guess then really
So,
Rayleigh
okay,
and him
so
is probably
that
out
was the
for a
news I
much
heard.
longer.
That was
yeah,
the
you
news I
probably
heard
have
at the
more
beginning of
updates
this
than I
month.
do. Well,
That's 12
That's
weeks.
the thing.
Wishful thinking
From
on
that.
my part then. So they're not getting either of them back. But if you did, you could move a Rosarena to like a DH slot, and then you kind of solve that problem a little bit. Maybe throw Polanco out at second. Like, it just, the Tavares acquisition, he's actually been hitting really well in the past 7 games. Kind of had that surge in 2 home runs, 4 ribbies, 292 average, 625 slugging. Like, if he continues to hit, we haven't really mentioned Tavares either. Like, he's actually somebody that just came in. He's an acquisition that the Mariners did not plan on. I know that they're short because of all these injuries, but that's an extra piece that the Mariners did not have at the start of the year.
can Rivas
Hey,
play
just-
third?
Yeah,
Hey,
he's
quick
played
question.
third.
Yeah.
Quick question
yeah.
for you guys. When we get to this trade deadline talk and everything, is Urangelo Sinja on the table for anybody?
For
Like,
trades,
Is there
You
for
can't.
trades?
You
Kick,
can't.
Kicked her baseball, put it in something about
no.
Urangelo.
Yeah, let's put
potentially
that
on the table. Yeah, here
Y'all
it
might
is.
like
Here you
this,
go.
but I think Durangelo being dealt is a possibility. Should definitely be explored. That experiment could go south real quick. He's our top 100. I'm most willing to lose. So Kick Dirt is not so high on him. I mean, the experimental thing kind of makes it more of a reasonable question asking about moving.
Does that
him.
really make him a top 100 though? I'd rather keep him to see if it works out, because this is like the two-way player with Ohtani. If it pays off, you have yourself a generational player, not from stats wise, but the fact that they can manipulate on the mound in real time, and batters are just like, oh shit. Like it could be an 0-2 count on a batter, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna go lefty. And it's like, shit, all right, how do I adjust to this? And that's like something that nobody has ever done before. I think that
But didn't they make a rule
uniqueness
to,
changes it.
but didn't they make a rule that he has to establish what hand he's going to throw with?
Yeah, it was the
prior to the bat?
Pat Venditti rule.
Venditti rule. So
he kept going back and forth, and
Well,
the switch
I
hitter
want
kept
to
going
switch
back and
hitter kept going back and
bad
forth.
that
And
ad-
like,
hitter that, yeah.
the pitcher has to establish first, and then the hitter can bounce off.
and with the
that.
new
Gave the hitter
rules
the
now,
advantage in the situation.
but now that with the new rules, they have to face three hitters. Do they have to face three hitters with the same arm?
no,
Or can he
They
flip-flop?
don't.
Well,
Nope.
I
You can
understand
still
why he's
flip-flop.
asking that, because he has switched to left-handed pitching in the middle of at bat in high A with the Aqua
you
Sox. I
can't do
watched him
that
do
in
it.
Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And, okay, so
But
that's the reason
Yeah,
why
you can
this is
still-
a question.
But it's the rules. Like we have to understand what rules in major leagues apply, because we could say yes,
Yeah.
it's great. And
No,
I think you
it's
should
there,
throw
and
with
it's
your
like,
foot. Fuck it. Like,
Fuck it. Well, so like, yeah, the rules here, I've read these over and over because the Venditti situation is just so fascinating. And obviously that's what kicked off this whole thing. Former Mariner, by the way, he spent, I think, half a season with him. So really cool that he actually,
Hey,
got
he
to
was
put on a
good.
Mariner uniform. He
good.
was okay. He was okay. He was, I wouldn't call him a gimmick, but he was okay. Fuck, where was I going with this? I'm way too drunk.
Oh, sorry. It
Oh yeah,
didn't
no,
take you away.
sorry. The details of the Venditti rule. Essentially, if you change during an at bat, it has to be because of an injury, at least in Major League Baseball. And then obviously that injury, if you say, hey, I need to switch to my left in the middle of an at bat, you cannot throw with your right for the rest of the game. So at least at the Major League level, they've definitely implemented ways from keeping that from happening. So
The bigger problem is
Now,
like Durangelo is not throwing well with his left. He's not throwing strikes anyway. He's not at all.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't be shocked with how good he is with his right and how he's not able to throw strikes right now with his left. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull the plug on the whole amphibious throwing thing, that joke, next year and just stick with right. I mean, maybe they'll keep it going. Maybe they tweak it and he starts throwing strikes with it.
But do you do that?
So good with his right.
Well,
But do you do that and say, oh, he was worth a 16th overall pick at that point? Like, I feel like you have to
if
like.
he's so good.
see
Well,
it through.
so how good he? Okay, so Kyle, how good he is on the right side is phenomenal. He is
so good.
He's got like 12K per 9. He's got like less than three walks per 9. The guy's really good from the right side, and he sits like 96 to 100. Like he's really good from the right side. His left side, I think the best way to develop a guy like that, because I've worked with a switch pitcher before in my coaching career, the best way to really kind of advance him, if you're going to advance him at all in that capacity, is, hey, when you start, you are a right-handed pitcher. I don't want you touching left side. I understand the advantage. I don't give a shit. Be a right-handed pitcher because you're that good at it. Midweek, now you can be a left-handed pitcher out of the pen and work on that.
They've nearly done that. He comes out and he'll throw the first batter left-handed, and then he'll go right-handed against everybody for 2 innings, and then maybe he'll throw another left-handed, and then they'll put him in a relief role midweek, and he'll be lefty, But I'm almost thinking maybe they should try the other way and just be like, hey, go out and start a game, pitch left-handed the whole damn time. Like maybe you just need to work it out. Like
work it out, or focus on one thing at a time and be really good at this, and then be really good at that. I understand this is where you came from at Mississippi State. You were doing this and you were very successful at it. It's not working right now, and we can see the numbers.
No, I would love that plan that both of you guys are kind of leaning on, maybe putting his lefty arm to relief use. And then so he's a starter with his right, and then with his left, he can come in on like day 3 or 4, in between the starting rotation that he's in, whatever slotted day, and he can pitch in relief with the opposite arm. It's definitely I don't know. It's interesting. I wonder
We need
why.
lefties.
Hey, there you go. I wonder why more teams don't like. If there's a couple of like Brendan McKay, for instance, never really took off as a two-way player in Major League Baseball. Just experiments like him that went with the Rays that didn't really work. I'm curious as to why more teams don't really take those guys. They all think that they can be either Sente or like a Shohei Ohtani, for instance, that can hit and pitch, but be a starter. Why not be like a bullpen guy and be a hitter? Like, why not be like a Michael Lorenzen who, and I'm not saying he can hit well, but if you could hit well and then you maybe have some pitching talent, why not give that two-way option to your team and become a reliever? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me if you have that talent. Like, I feel like there's more teams that could take better advantage of their players. Just a theory of mine. Just throwing that out there.
I have an idea. So I take back my idea with Jake Cronenworth, and probably Rhino Hearn would probably be a good target for the Mariners first. I know I'm switching gears here. But what about Gavin Lux, since the Reds are pretty much in the same spot as the Brewers as of now? And we probably should have got him. He still has arbitration for this year and next year, and then he's a free agent in 2027. He's only costing $3 million. And I mean, currently right now, I know it's Cincinnati, so chill out, but he's batting .292, on base percentage .377, slugging .409. He's played pretty much every game. He's started in 43 games, played in 45. So 13 doubles, only 1 home run. Yeah, whatever, but it's a second baseman / also outfielder. So you got kind of like a real shitty 4A Mookie Betts version. But why not? Like, they have so many infielders. You have Matt McClain with the Reds. You have Ellie De La Cruz. You have a bunch of these guys, including Noelvi Marte, whenever he comes back from the injured list to play third. Like, they're pretty full. I don't see why not. And plus, his name's Gavin, so Gavin should love him.
Whoa. I hate other Gavins.
Right.
No, I'm joking. I'm the only one. No, I wanted to actually get to another question here as well. Kick Dirt mentioned who from your top 100, if not more than one, would you trade for that top tier bat? Or even if it's a pitch, let's say if it's a pitcher, whoever that may be, when we get to the trade deadline, who from your top 100, and I think we have 9 guys on there now, who from there are you willing to trade to get that top tier bat? Like, we're not talking Rhys Hoskins. We're talking somebody north of that. We're talking about somebody who's going to actually game change it, may have another year or two of eligible or, controllable. Who's that guy?
Luzardo Montes in the Pope Mobile. Do not trade him. No, keep him away from any sort of deal talk. Not.
Anti-Laz. I get it. Anti-Laz. Anybody else
killed? Colt.
Who's the player, though?
No, I agree with that. I agree with you, Nosey.
Colt. Because if I can get someone top tier with control, again, when we talk about these minor league players, it's all projectables. He's projecting to do this. Like, if I can get a guy that's top tier in Major League Baseball that has proven he can do it, and I have control with him for the next few years, it's not a 6 month, it's not a 2 month rental. To me, it's a slam dunk deal. I don't know why we wouldn't do it.
Who are we talking about, though? Realistically, we're not talking Bobby Witt. What are we talking about?
You're not. I don't think. Okay, Gavin.
Give us a Gunnar Henderson. Give us a gun. Like, they're terrible this year. Let's say they're willing to move because they have so many infielders.
Hurstad from the Orioles.
Westberg, fine. I don't give a shit. Pick somebody from that team because they have so many infielders. They have so many guys coming up. Yeah, and they're terrible this year. They could absolutely be a team. Kobe Mayo. Let's say Kobe Mayo at this time, or at the trade deadline, he's 10 bombs in and he's batting .280.
Garver.
Oh, he's top 100.
I'm not trading Colt for a guy that's had a cup of coffee in the majors and done well. I want an established guy if I'm giving away Colt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh, if Kobe Mayo's batting .280 with 10 bombs at the trade deadline, I'd sell a lot.
At AAA level?
No,
because he's not going to get it. He's not going to get any time at the MLB level.
Exactly.
Why not? He's right there.
It's hypothetical. Let's say Gunnar Henderson gets hurt. Let's say fucking Jackson Holiday gets hurt. Let's say their infield depleted. They're already terrible. Let's say they call him up. He's .280 with 10 bombs. Yeah, I'm selling a lot to get him. If those are his numbers, and that's the scenario, absolutely.
I'll give you
making it
Gunnar
up as
for-
I go.
Give up a Johnny
Okay,
Farmello too. Michael
Yeah, I was
Arroyo,
thinking.
lower
I was
down the list.
thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking more Ryan Sloan because they need pitching real fucking bad, and then a Farmello because we have so much outfield, and then we still have Las
Well,
Montez, and you still have a couple other guys that can take over as far as the outfield. But
what would you say to
So-
like a Cole Emerson and like a Brandon, like it's still a good pitcher, but not quite Ryan Sloan. But let's say like a Brandon Garcia and I don't know, Cole Emerson, and if you have to throw
For
somebody else in,
Gunnar?
like a Jared Sundstrom or something like that, or whoever your top
Not
guy
for
is.
Kobe, but for Gunner. For Gunner, sure. Not for Kobe.
Hits,
Yeah, not
kick
for
it
No,
out.
if you're
Kobe.
giving,
Hell
if you're
no,
giving
not
me,
for
Kobe
me.
if you're
Mayo
giving
is
me
just
Gun-
Colt Emerson, but weaker.
yeah, if you're gonna give me Gunner, I'll give you Colt and Cole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
What if,
100%.
Yeah.
You
And
need
then
to pay
I'll-
more
and
than
then
that.
give- and
Yeah,
then I'll
it
give
would
you,
be-
and then another pitcher.
I'm a little biased. He's had a bit of a down year, but I love Spencer Steer, former Duck. 20 home run seasons the last couple of years with Cincinnati. Obviously hasn't started off well this year, but I feel like he could be gotten for a middling prospect, maybe, like an Arroyo, like a Farmello, something like that. I know not Farmello, according to Kicker.
No.
So.
No, I wouldn't say Farmello for him either. Like maybe a Brandon Garcia. You're gonna need pitching for Orioles. Like that's what they need is pitching.
Well, this is the Reds. Sorry, this is the Reds.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, for Steer, I was still on Gunner or whatever, but
No, you're good.
yeah, for the Reds, they're not going to really want middle infield. They're already stacked there.
What about Locklear? Locklear, and then like a lower one of the kind of guys we don't really know about, like a Jeter Martinez, Kendry Martinez, somebody down here, just like as a project essentially.
We're still
I feel
talking
like- I
top
feel like-
100 though, right? Not our top 100.
Exactly. So I feel like Tyler Locklear might
No,
be too
top
low on
100,
that
yeah.
list. I feel like Locklear might be too low on that list, even for like the Reds, who we've been a good trade partner with. I feel like it would be Locklear and then one of our top 100 to get. Maybe
Not for
it might be
Steer.
above, not for Steer.
For
It would be
Steer,
above
I
Steer.
don't know.
Let's
But
get
that's
Ellie.
the guy I feel
Steer.
like we could slip in and not pay as much for.
Give me Ellie.
Give me-
Oh,
yeah.
duh.
Let's go Ellie.
Give me Tommy
Let's
Rick.
go Ellie, and let's make
Give
him
me
an
Josh
outfielder
Jung.
too. Let's make him.
Let's go.
Let's make
Go to
him
the
an
Rangers.
outfielder.
Give them a call. Give me Corey Seager. Fuck it.
No, I'd rather have Ellie than Corey. The Rangers are they're a scary bunch. They don't seem to stay healthy and they're inconsistent. I'm avoiding the Rangers like the plague. But
Guys, could you imagine if we had like Ty France this year instead of Donovan Solano? The Mariners would have a 7-game lead in the AL West right now. Just saying. Just pointing that out.
Hey,
I
we
mean,
could
yeah,
trade for
it's
him,
crazy
too.
that they're. We just talked about this on our episode the other day. It is crazy to see what they're doing without their fucking team. Like they don't have their team. They don't have Victor Robles. They don't have for a minute there. They didn't have 3 of their starters. It is crazy to see what they're doing without their team. And they just call up Blas Castano. I'm excited to see what he can do or not do. I'm curious to see how long he stays, what that looks like. I'm still pounding the table for Michael Hobbs. I want to see what he can do at the major league level. I know there's analytics out there that say like, oh, his fastball is just not good. At this point, like the guy's throwing really high leverage innings for AA. I want to ride that confidence a little bit. I want to see what that looks like at the MLB level at 25 years old. It'd be different if it was, he was 22, like Troy Taylor. We talked about him on our episode the other day too. The guy's 23 years old.
Troy.
Let him figure his stuff out in AAA. We'll see him next year. And that's it. I mean, he's 24 years old. That's another Jerry guy. If you can name me more than 3 relief pitchers that Jerry has called up at 22 years old or less, I'd be impressed, because we came up with Andres Munoz, and I think the other one was Edwin Diaz. I think those are the only 2 guys that are under 23 years old that Jerry has called up in relief. A couple honorable mentions were Dan Altavilla, he was called up with Edwin Diaz, and then the other one was Matt Brash. Matt Brash was 24. So it's like, yeah, the guy's still on par to be a very good Mariners relief pitcher. You don't see too many guys come up at that age and have immediate success. Even Andres Munoz was good. He didn't become elite until just last year. Last year was his first like elite year. I think we can all kind of agree on that. Maybe he showed some elite signs the year prior, but I don't know. You have to twist
His
my arm
first
on
year,
about
he's
that.
healthy.
Yeah, he's healthy. But yeah, we talk about these relief pitchers. We have a lot to choose from as well. And I think Joe Piamps just got DFA'd from there we go. Yeah, there it is.
There you
Joe
go.
Piamps. I was just about to say, I think Joe Piamps just got let go. That is a perfect Jerry guy. I think Jerry can do something with that. I don't know if we necessarily want to put him right up at the top. Maybe we put him in AAA, have him get his feet wet with our organization for a little bit, and then pull him up. But Joe Piamps,
Brandon Garcia has been doing better. I know he had some bumps early on, but Brandon Garcia has been doing better. I wouldn't be surprised to see him before too long.
Yeah, we have internal options as well. And to your point, lefties, how many do we have? What do we have to choose from? Not very many. I think Brandon Garcia is pushing the needle for sure. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come up. I think what he's doing in AA, he could absolutely replicate in the MLB. I think he can be that guy. What they did with him in the first place is I made the same gripe when they did the same thing with JP Sears when they moved him to the pen. And granted, he was great out of the pen. He was too good as a starting pitcher. And I maybe I'm wrong, but your value as a starting pitcher is so much higher than your value as a relief pitcher.
Well, they did this with Brash too.
Exactly. There's the other side of that, right? There is Matt Brash. There is other guys that move to the pen and do well. But if you're doing well as a starting pitcher, I think you should see that one through until it's not.
What they do is they go to these guys, and it may have been a little early with Garcia. I agree with you because we've been so thin this year, but they go to him and they say, hey, if you want to make it to the bigs this year, let's put you in the bullpen. Let's see if your stuff ticks up. And that's going to be your ticket to the show. And then from there, hey, maybe, you put some good innings this year, and then we stretch you out next year and you fight for a rotation spot. And, it makes sense. And maybe that's what happens. Maybe he just ends up being a bullpen arm forever. Who knows? But I do agree with you. Like, he did great as a rotation, as a starter last year. He hasn't done like insanely well as a reliever yet. I think he's going to get there and he'll do fine. But yeah.
No, the communication has been great. I think they've done that very well. But yeah, I go back to kind of like what you had said is my experience pitching. It is so much more difficult to be a relief pitcher if you've been a starting pitcher. It is like your preparation for the game, the way you go about it. You are so used to knowing exactly when you throw. You have your preparation. You know exactly what your week looks like. As a relief pitcher,
that's why I didn't work with Logan Evans.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't work for some guys. And I'm not saying it's the wrong move because obviously Matt Brash, like we've seen it. So Brandon Morrow, I think, was another one that went back, and he was another one that went. He had starts and then went back and did other things. Like, I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying, like, from personal experience, it is tough to be a starting pitcher.
Some guys just can't adapt to the ad hoc impromptu. Hey, get ready, get warm now. Oh fuck! No, I usually I need 6 hours to get ready. I need to wake up in the morning, have my food, stretch out. Maybe get a massage before the game. And then there's a reliever. It's like, dude, just go fucking chug a beer and get the fuck in there. Like, it's a whole different. It's a whole different.
I heard
game.
this a lot. I heard that. Hey, get hot. Let's go. Come on. Let's go.
Get him up.
Get going. You're going in. Throw 98. Don't be a bitch. Like, I've heard that a lot in my career, and it's not easy if you're not used to it.
And by the way, it's no outs, bases loaded. Go have fun. See ya.
Yeah.
Mop up somebody else's shit. Yeah, I mean, and look at Munoz. Even Munoz, I don't know if y'all saw the quotes of him saying, like, knowing that I'm just coming in the ninth, which I personally hate that we don't put him in the eighth against the 2 through 4 hitters. But like him saying that, gives me pause. But him just saying he knows he's coming in the ninth, and every once in a while a 4-out save. But like, even for that, that's kind of crazy that he the difference mentally for a reliever to be like, at least I know when I'm coming in. At least he feels like it's made a big difference, and it's hard to argue with the results. But
a closer's mentality and a starter's mentality is almost the same because they know, okay, I come in here, whether it's the first or the ninth. I know I'm coming in here.
The difference is you're a little bit more psycho. You're a little bit more psycho if you're coming in the ninth. Just saying.
Oh yeah, no. I've heard.
It takes the psycho to strike out the 2 through 4 hitter in the 8th when you're up by 1 run too.
No, it's
You
true.
have to be.
No,
You have to be a little bit psycho, 100%.
that mindset, like you don't look at like Andres Munoz as somebody that you think could be like a mean, fiery guy, but then you see him on the mound in the 9th. He fucking is. JJ Putz, the nicest dude off the field, but in the locker room, coming off the field, I've heard from different Mariners reporters that like that motherfucker was fired up because like that's where you have to get to be that 9th inning guy. Guys, we are at 2 hours and I've got to go help my wife with some stuff. So unfortunately we've got to end it here. But we have talked, God, damn near everything from reacting to different parts of the 5-3 win for the Mariners over the Astros to different trade deadline targets, where they're going to go, whether it be pitching, hitting. But guys, this has been awesome. I really appreciate everybody stopping.
This is a blast.
By. Yeah, this is fun. We'll do it soon. I mean, I know Gavin will probably do it next Friday as well, but I really appreciate all y'all. This is great.
Are we gonna win the series? Are we gonna push?
Ooh, good question. Good question. Good question to end this one on.
Are we gonna win or are we gonna push? That's a good one, Stoic fan.
I think push. I think push. I think it's a 2-2 series.
I would agree. I'd say a push as well. I just don't think. I mean, hopefully Kirby will look better with his next time out. But Bleav is going to be facing major league hitters for the first time. Like it's a crapshoot as it's been every time they've called some guys up to fill that bullpen again. I feel like so.
Yeah,
we're either going 1-3 or we're going 3-1.
No pushes. I like it.
No push. I like it. Yeah, it's good.
Chad, what about you?
3-1. Fuck it.
3-1.
I like it.
Let's
Two positivities. Two positive comments today.
Let's go.
I just want them to like surprise me, and then it just becomes like this massive debate of who's going to stay in the rotation because we called up Bleav and he pitched 8 innings, 0 earned runs, 1 hit, and 12 Ks, and you're gonna be like, oh shit. Like Kirby,
let's trade him. Let's trade
him.
Head
on down.
Yeah.
I'm worried about Bleav. I'm worried about Bleav for sure, but I'm going to say 3-1 because fuck it, it's baseball. Who knows? And I think we're getting the Astros number, so I'm going to say 3-1. We win it.
Yeah, as long as we just hit like short little fly balls to left field for Otubi to throw out our slowest guys. That's all I care about.
Keep sending them. Fuck it.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Well, really appreciate Mariners and Astros again tomorrow afternoon, and we will be back on Gavin's channel, Up West Sports, next Friday, and that will be, I'm hoping, another win. Right? They're back home after the Nationals. They come back home to play the Nationals. I can't remember who they play after, but really appreciate everybody checking in on this Bleav in Mariners YouTube channel. Keep those tridents up, Mariners fans. See you soon. All right, guys. Really appreciate y'all. That was fucking.